Okay. Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. We love to talk with Google Trend experts about different things that people are searching throughout the course of a month or a year or after a big game like the Super Bowl. You know, this is the most watched game across the globe. We got to see what people are searching and what the trends are. And so that's why we have Abigail Posner, Google's Director of U.S. Creative Networks, at the digital desk with us this morning. Abigail, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you being here. So I see that the top trends for this Super Bowl, couple things here. We have, is Bradley Cooper an Eagles fan, and is Rihanna pregnant? Explain.
You bet. I was really surprised as well. I mean, look, the game was a nail biter, right? So I thought the top searches were going to be about the game, and there definitely were many, but it was whether Rihanna was pregnant or not that rose to the top. She gave a killer performance, but still it was all about whether she was pregnant. And then subsequent questions were about whether, you know, how old her son was and other aspects of her personal life, not necessarily the performance itself.
It's interesting because when I was at a Super Bowl party last night, there were several people Googling and searching during her performance if she's pregnant, if she's been pregnant before, and you know how old her baby is, that sort of thing. So that was very relevant to me and what I saw at the Super Bowl gathering that I was at. Some other things that were some of the top trends: Travis Kelce. The color of the Super Bowl Gatorade, and the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. Tell me more about that.
I know. I mean, what a surprising search. That's what's so awesome about all these searches, that you never know what you're going to see. But yeah, purple, which was the Gatorade, the Super Bowl Gatorade color of the year, that was what was being searched. Super interesting. Of course, there were also many other interesting searches around the other players. I mean, no question, Patrick Mahomes was going to be the #1 searched player, but also super interesting searches around the ads, because the brands really came up and just, you know, killed it this year with those ads. They were really awesome. So in terms of the ads and top search ads, the ones that made people laugh, the ones that tapped into our nostalgia, those really rose to the surface.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at some of the ads by Game Day Views on YouTube. You got the Melissa McCarthy ad for Booking.com. Right. You got the T-Mobile, Skechers. Tell us about some of these ads, and perhaps, I know we don't know for sure, but perhaps why people were searching these ads more than others. Is it because they liked them? Is it because maybe they missed something or they wanted to see it again?
You know, I don't have an answer to that. I have a theory. First of all, we all need a little humor in our lives, especially right now. And Melissa McCarthy just stands out when it comes to being funny and entertaining. So no wonder the Booking.com spot rose to the top. Also, nostalgia. As I mentioned before, there were a lot of ads like the T-Mobile, the Grease, I would like to call it the Grease ad with John Travolta, or the Rakuten ad also rose to the top in terms of nostalgia, because people want to go back in time a little bit. So those are the theories I have as to why some of these ads just, you know, just broke through.
I love this graphic, Abigail. This says this is the interest during the Super Bowl, and it kind of goes back and forth. Explain what we're seeing right here.
Well, you see the dynamism of the game itself, right? I mean, that's what's so awesome about the searches, is that they really reflect people's interests in real time and what's going on at that moment. And it's just reflective of who's winning, who's losing at that point, who's getting the fumble and so forth. And then, you know, they even out, which is basically what happened at the end of the game. And then finally the Chiefs broke through.
And then here's another graphic, most searched chicken wing flavors since the start of the NFL playoffs. I found this interesting. Of course, we look, you know, in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. It's barbecue, of course, where we are. But, you know, it's still kind of neat to just kind of see how it looks across the country.
Totally. I mean, there's one that's a pickle flavored dip that rose to the top in one part of the country. It just shows how fascinating we all are and how different we all are. And by the way, in terms of your dips, buffalo chicken dip was the most searched dip in your part of the world.
Yes, I see it here, buffalo chicken dip. You know, what's interesting is that is my wife's favorite thing to make for parties. And of course, wherever we go, she makes this buffalo chicken dip and it's eaten so quickly. That's what it was the case yesterday for sure.
Was that the highlight?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like it was gone before like the game even started. It was crazy. Let's see, what else? What else was kind of something that piqued your interest when you were looking at some of these trends coming in?
Yeah, so much. I mean, what was interesting to me too were all the searches around the pregame performers. So Chris Stapleton just, I think, really made the Star Spangled Banner so heartfelt, so meaningful. You saw players crying, right? Cheryl Lee Ralph did an awesome job, Babyface. But the most searched performer, pregame performer, was actually Babyface. And I wonder if it's because he just hasn't been on the scene for a while, and people were thinking, well, what's going on with him, and how's he doing, or who is he even?
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with you. Again, you know, the Chris Stapleton performance, very emotional. You saw tears, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Other players and coaches just crying during Chris Stapleton's performance of the national anthem. But yeah, when I was with some younger folks watching the Super Bowl, they had no idea who Babyface was, and I was like, "What? You don't know?" And I have to say, you know, you're right. He's been out of the spotlight for so many years, and so, you know, just kind of maybe some people, you know, that know who he is are just wondering what's he been up to all these years.
Totally. And I wonder, with all of the ads that tapped into nostalgia, like the Rakuten Clueless ad I mentioned before, or the Workday ad with KISS members and Joan Jett, I was thinking, okay, most of the viewers are not even going to know who these folks are. I did, and I truly appreciated those ads because of it. But it's an interesting risk that these brands will take to connect with a certain number of folks in the audience, and those who maybe just will then be interested as a result of seeing those folks.
You know, finally, Abigail, I was looking, and, you know, the game was so close. And, I mean, this game was very close. It was won in the last minutes. And you would think that a lot of these searches were, I don't know, about the game. And certainly there were some players here that were searched. But I'm surprised that, like, more isn't searched on with the game. But when you look at the game searches, I mean, there were a lot of things like longest punt return, right, that sort of thing.
Yep, there were. My theory is that people were so enthralled with the game that they didn't have enough time to pick up their phone and search. But, you know, they obviously did, and they searched the players and they searched in-game events and so forth. But I think, you know, they were sitting on their hands and just waiting to see what would happen. So and you know, with the halftime show, you got a little bit more time to dig in and ask questions of yourself and others, and of course of Google, to get those answers.
I love it. I love it, Abigail. I love all of it, and I enjoy just kind of looking at it. And I know that there's a way for some of the viewers watching right now to look at it for themselves. Can you tell us one more time where people can go and look at these trends?
Absolutely. You can get all these trends and other goodies from the game at youtube.com/Adblitz. It'll be up for a number of weeks, so take your time, dive in, and enjoy all of it.
All right. Well, Abigail Posner, we really appreciate your time this morning, just kind of going through the trends after the Super Bowl, what people liked, and perhaps what they didn't like. Nonetheless, they're searching for it and getting more information. We appreciate you being here this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. All
right. So take a look here from our High Five camera from downtown Memphis. And there is the mighty Mississippi. There in the I-40 bridge, a beautiful start to the day. Sun is shining, a little chilly out there. It is winter after all, but we are expecting warmer temperatures. In fact, in the area of 60 degrees later today, and the sun is certainly shining. You can see it from our Midtown High Five camera there with downtown Memphis off in the distance. And it is going to be a nice day, but it's going to be tricky the next 7 days. And there's going to be a lot of stuff happening. Meteorologist Brittany Bryant will have details in your forecast minutes away. Okay, so the latest on the Tyree Nichols investigation and where we stand right now. 6 former Memphis police officers were fired for their roles during that traffic stop. Out of the 6, 5, Demetrius Haley, Tadarius Beat, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., Justin Smith, all facing multiple charges, including murder and kidnapping. Those 5 former officers will be in court for the first time this Friday. Preston Hemphill has not been charged, but attorneys for Tyree Nichols' family want criminal charges to be brought up against him. Remember, there are 7 additional officers who, according to Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis, violated policy in the Tyree Nichols investigation. The department will only release the names of these additional officers if they are fired. Memphis firefighters disciplined for not providing immediate care in the Tyree Nichols case are getting support from the president of the Memphis Firefighters Association, Thomas Malone. We learned Malone wrote a letter to the Memphis City Council taking issue with the word reform, which he believes the word was tossed around at Tuesday's Memphis City Council meeting, saying no firefighter could have been prepared for the scene because of false information they received from the officers on scene. When Memphis Fire Chief Gina Sweat was asked about this on Tuesday, this was her response.
They did not perform within the guidelines and the policies that are already set forth, and that's why they're no longer with us.
So Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland said they confirmed to Action News 5 that all 3 of those former Memphis Firefighter Department personnel members are appealing their terminations. And we will continue to follow the latest developments in the Tyree Nichols case. Stay with us on air and online at actionnews5.com for updates. Okay, let's talk about tours across the country. And there is a Black History tour that is an amazing one that is happening in Memphis. Kim Clark celebrates Black History Month with a tour of possibilities.
Well, great morning. Great morning. Welcome to a tour of possibilities.
Carolyn Michael Banks, or Queen when she's giving tours, is the owner-operator of this African-American historical touring company. 9 years old in August, and a labor of love from Michael Banks, who said she fell in love with this city by the river shortly after moving here.
And I had no idea what was here.
She uses her years of tourism experience in other cities to share a Memphis many don't see or feel, whether you're from out of town or around the corner.
I really feel for people who don't get it. And I think of the gazillions of people that come through here, and they have no idea. And not only those who come visit don't have any idea, those of us who live, work, and play here have no idea. Slightly left, you will now see our pyramid.
As your conductor, ATOP tour guides take passengers on a journey through our city's uncomfortable and tragic history.
You may have heard the term being sold down the river. They were talking about the Mississippi River. Not only was it used to bring those enslaved into this area, but also those who were escaping the institution of slavery used this as a way to get out.
Tours also celebrate our people's resilience.
So when I decided to call my company A Tour of Possibilities, I had people like Tom Lee in mind who saw things that appeared to be impossible, yet made them possible in spite of all that's around them.
But ATOP journeys aren't just about the past. Each trip also highlights Memphis' inspiring future.
Now, to your left, this may not look appealing to you. I can understand that. But this is part of Memphis being reimagined. This is where the Brooks Museum of Art will be coming to.
The 2.5-hour tour also shares information that will take many by surprise.
So if you were enslaved here, particularly during the winter months, look for the trees in front that still had their leaves on them.
Spanning from uptown.
I want you to be aware that this is where the very, very wealthy Memphians once lived. Just imagine mansions here.
To the Pinch.
This is where a lot of Irish chose to settle.
Through downtown.
But look ahead and to the left, you'll see the Blue City Cafe, but this was once an African-American owned hotel called the Hotel Clark. And there used to be a sign out front that read Best Colored Service Only.
And South Memphis.
This is where Dr. King gave his famous and his last and prophetic speech, I've been to the mountaintop. I hope they get the richness of this city. I hope they get what they probably won't get on a traditional tour. I hope they understand that We've got to tell the whole story to really get the bigger picture. And that's why, one of the reasons why I started doing this was because I knew there was a missing. And the missing was not necessary. Just tell the story.
An eye-opening journey that enlightens and entertains.
There is an ordinance in Memphis that states you are to hear blues music within the first hour of your feet touching the ground when you get out of bed. So here we go. Yeah. My favorite part is when at the end people say, I just had no idea. How they say, I can't wait to come back. ATOP does stand for a tour of possibilities.
Right.
It also stands for a tour on purpose. Because as much fun as we have, we got a lot of work and information to share.
ATOP, sharing what makes us proud to call this city our home. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Okay, so right now I want to show you the latest edition of Memphis Magazine. It arrived in my mailbox just a few days ago, and this one is going to be a great one for the month of February. The food issue. It looks amazing, and just breezing through some of these, some of the pages here. I can't wait to read it more thoroughly. Joining me now, Sam Chi, certainly one of the great writers of Memphis Magazine and someone that we like talking to on the digital desk. Sam, I understand you wrote a couple of these articles here. One of the articles, was it the one that talked about the 9 favorite dishes?
Yes, that's right. February is always our food issue, so we've been playing with the format the past couple of years. So I got together with my colleague Michael Donahue, who's also a big local food writer, and we kind of just mulled over the best dishes we'd had over the past year. There was a cool mix of old and new, and it gave us the opportunity to get some stellar photography, as you saw on the cover. Shout out to Justin Foxbergs, who took that phenomenal shot of Sarah over at Good Fortune Co. But yeah, we had a healthy mix of, new restaurants and old established favorites. So I think, like I say a lot, there really is something for everybody. And as you can see in the spread, we've got plenty of variety for people who are, looking to go out and eat something.
Yeah, we got the cover up there. Again, your artistry and photography at Memphis Magazine is exquisite. It's wonderful. I love it. There's so many different colors here, and it really kind of speaks to the food issue that you have each and every February. And then looking inside, this is what really caught my mind, the 9 top dishes for 2023. Let's talk about it.
Sure. Well, I tried a couple of these. Yeah, we were open to the Seafood Tower. I wrote about Fancy's Fish House a couple months ago, and that is just a heaping pile of all the, raw bar type seafood that you could ever want. It's got crab legs, lobster, ahi tuna, shrimp. That thing is gargantuan. And if you're into seafood, I would recommend hitting that up downtown at the One Beal Project, and I guess just going to town. There's so much packed in there, and I couldn't finish it by myself, and I just love eating seafood, so that was an impressive thing to find. And then you had the coconut curry at Good Fortune Co. That's one of my personal favorites, and I think they've done a really good job of ingraining themselves in the downtown and South Main food scene in particular. And that one right there, it's got a blend of, I think, over 20 ingredients in it. They have to source some of them from out of the country. It's a labor of love, they said, and it's got this this great umami, and it's got this kind of crispy and soft tofu as the protein, and their noodles are exceptional. They make them all by hand. Those are some of the personal favorites that jump out at me. I know Michael would have some things to chime in as well, but unfortunately he couldn't join us today.
So we think of all the great restaurants and all the great food across Memphis and the Mid-South. I mean, how did you narrow it down to 9 dishes?
Well, it's a really tough process because, we do have more than 9 favorite dishes, but we thought the best way to go about this was to have a variety of styles, first of all, and then a variety of locations around town. So we've got a little bit of downtown, a little bit of Midtown, a little bit East Memphis. And yeah, we kind of drew up a big list of places, and we kind of went over it. We talked about what we'd tried recently, kind of some things that had come on the scene in the past couple of months that readers might want to know about, and then just focused on some other staples, and we just put our heads together and, whittled that list down until we had just 9 dishes that we really wanted to focus on that we thought really captured the Memphis dining scene for 2022.
I love it. I love it. And if people are getting ready for lunch, they got some options now and might be getting hungry. I'm also a big seafood guy, so seeing that seafood tower there really is something that's attractive to me. And I haven't checked out Fancy's house. Can you tell me more about it?
Sure. It's been open for almost a year now, but they just revamped their whole menu with a new head chef, Nate Hensler, a couple months ago. So everything you see on there is going to be a lot different. But they have a phenomenal selection of fresh fish that they bring in, a pretty extensive menu with all types of stuff. I'm blanking on the one that I specifically tried last time I went, but it was made with this really good soy miso glaze, which gave it a nice kind of little sweet, smoky finish to it. If you're a seafood guy, you absolutely have to check it out. And they have a lot of other options too, like a really good beef entree and some other, non-fish options if, you're dining out with some people who aren't into seafood. So there's something for everybody. And then once the weather gets better, they've got a really nice patio overlooking the Mississippi River. It's really just a great place to go kick back, even grab a cocktail or two and, look out at the views or, hang out there before you go to see a show at the Orpheum, maybe. It's a really cool new spot, and I think people should really give it a chance. They've done an exceptional job over there.
Sam, I appreciate it. I want to bring in the Memphis Magazine's CEO and editor-in-chief, Anna Traverse-Vogel, to talk more about the issue. Anna, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Andrew. I'm doing fine, thanks. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So I love, I know you've been listening to the conversation. I just really love the cover here. It's great, it's funny, it's cute. And then seeing all the articles, and particularly this article, the images here really don't do it justice. I mean, the pictures are so good in the Memphis Magazine. It almost makes me want to eat the pages. They're that good.
Well, I don't recommend eating the pages, but I'm delighted that you have that thought. Yeah, we really try to create a beautiful product every month. I mean, of course, all of our stories end up online on memphismagazine.com, but if people really want to appreciate the lush beauty and the really inviting qualities of these pages and of the dishes and other things that they capture, I just really recommend getting a print copy, either subscribing or picking it up on a local newsstand, because you really just can't beat the feeling of, I have a prop here, of holding it in your hand. It's just a very different reading experience, and I am heavily biased, but I'm a big fan. And yeah, I mean, this issue is always a favorite of ours. It's fun to spend a month thinking about local food and local restaurants in particular. Of course, it's been a challenging few years for local restaurants and other small businesses. So we really love having the opportunity to shout them out and help remind people of all of the great reasons that we have to patronize them. I wrote in my editor's column this month about a lunch that some colleagues and I had at a restaurant that I won't name. But it is a place that I think a lot of Memphians love, and we spent 2 hours there. Nobody else walked through the door. Some places are doing great, and others, if you have loved a place for a long time and maybe you haven't been inside in a couple of years, maybe this is your reminder to go show them some actual love. Because I know we all want those places to stick around, and so yeah, we just really do our best to lift up a wide variety of local restaurants, just to make sure that they all kind of stay on the front burner, if you'll pardon the terrible pun.
Well, you know, one of the things that comes to mind, Anna, is and you know, because I mean, you live here. I mean, there's so many good restaurants, and you heard me ask Sam. I mean, how do you narrow it down when there's so many good restaurants? And then the other side of the coin is, wouldn't some of those restaurants out there that maybe didn't get mentioned, wouldn't they be upset with you guys that, hey, you didn't mention us? You know, because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, I totally hear you. You know, we really try to make sure that we don't just go back to the same wells over and over again. We try to visit a wide variety of restaurants. Typically, each month we have both a restaurant review and often also a separate shorter column that we call tidbits. That's like a quicker visit to a local restaurant. We also, you know, if people haven't picked up the print issue in a while, the print issue actually has a long and expansive listing every month that we call our city dining listings, that includes hundreds of local restaurants. And, you know, we don't charge them to be in there. It's just a service that we provide to our readers. You know, of course, there's just simply not space in a print magazine to shout out every restaurant that we love. There are quite a few of my favorites that aren't in there because it's a snapshot. You know, it's a portrait of a moment in time and a particular year. But I would say, you know, for any folks whose dishes weren't included, you know, stay tuned because we'll probably be there next year or the year after. And again, you know, those city dining listings are a great resource. Sam works on those each and every month to make sure that they are as up to date as possible, which I can assure you is a labor of love because it's a lot of information. And, you know, if people are trying to figure out, you know, maybe where to go on a Saturday night, especially once we escape from all this ice, you know, I would really recommend opening up those listings in Memphis Magazine and just think about, you know, maybe where you haven't been in a while and you love their food, but for whatever reason, they've just fallen out of your rotation, which I totally get it. You know, I'm a creature of habit too. We all get into those patterns where we're going to the same three places every time. But, you know, maybe this is your reminder to look at those listings of hundreds of restaurants and think about where maybe you want to spend a few hours and a few dollars.
Before we let you go, Anna, I wanted to take a look, or I did take a look, and I saw at the end CEOs of the Year 2023. Did you want to say anything about that column? Because it was nice to kind of see that too.
Yeah. So, you know, I have to say, I might need to turn the mic back over to Sam. He's our Inside Memphis business editor, as well as our food guy for the magazine. But yeah, so that's an annual feature that we do. And, you know, maybe if there's an opportunity later in the month for y'all to dive into those in more depth, that would be great because there are some really wonderful profiles and some very, very effective local leaders who are highlighted there. You know, what we talk about is that good leadership is so important to our local businesses and our local community as a whole. You know, I think in Memphis, a leader can really have kind of an outsized influence because of the way that this community is so tight knit and everybody knows everybody. You know, you don't have to sort of wait to be able to make an impact. And I think we're seeing the positive effects of some of those local leaders. So, you know, I would say, you know, maybe y'all make time on your calendar in a week or two to dive into all of those profiles because you know, it's really worth spending some time with. And again, you know, not to compare CEOs to dishes at restaurants, but we really do our best to make sure that we're highlighting a wide range of leaders when it comes to size of business, type of business, and so on. So, you know, you might be introduced to some folks who maybe you aren't aware of yet, and will be inspired by. So yeah. Sam, do you want to add anything?
We appreciate you. I just wanted to say, Anna, that you being the CEO and editor-in-chief of Contemporary Media and Memphis Magazine. So thank you. Your leadership is fantastic because we got a great product as a result. Let's ask Sam if he has any closing comments, but because I think that CEO article deserves its own interview. But Sam, anything else you want to mention before we wrap this up? Maybe he's gone.
Well, I think.
Oh, there he is.
Here I am. Yeah, I think Anna summed it up pretty well, and you know, she took a line that I was going to say about comparing CEOs to dishes. But again, it was very hard to pick. We had another large pool of candidates to select from this year, and everyone on the list was doing amazing things for the city. And every time we do this, like she said, this is a way to either recognize an established leader who's been doing great things for a long time, or, you know, maybe introduce Memphis to someone who's been doing great work under the radar. Every time we do this, we do take nominations for the award. So, you know, you can find my contact information on the Memphis Magazine website. And even if you want to get someone in early for next year, please just drop me a line and put someone on my radar. We always are looking to expand our candidate pool for the CEO of the Year awards.
Okay, Sam Chichi, thank you. Anna Traverse-Vogel, thank you. We appreciate it. As always, have yourself a great rest of the day and a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Okay, we are smack dab in the middle of winter here, still dealing with some cold temperatures. It was in the 30s as I was coming into work this morning. And during the week, any given week, we can expect a lot of clouds, maybe some ice, maybe some flurries. Some of the winter blues that we all deal with each and every year can drag us down. We can feel down at any time of the year, too, but it's something that, you know, we're trying to figure out ways to really kind of combat this because after all, it's one season and we're going to be better and we're going to be warmer, and then it's going to be really warm and we're going to wish it was colder out. So let's bring in Shanna Hawking. She is a leadership consultant and an author, and has much more to say when it comes to the winter blues out there. How are you?
Good morning, Andrew. I am feeling sunshiny for a winter day.
Good. I'm glad you are. You know, today we do have some sunshine here in the Memphis area, so that is welcome. But I know my wife and so many others really kind of get down this time of year. And I guess winter blues, that's kind of what we call it, right?
Yes, it's very normal when the weather is cold. It gets darker so much earlier. We don't have any vacation days to look forward to start to feel like, how am I going to get through yet another winter day?
Right. So let's talk about maybe some of the tips, some of the suggestions out there that we can kind of, you know, win against Old Man Winter and some of these blues.
Well, when you think about figuring out how yourself can work through those winter blues, the first thing that I say to start with is to focus on what you can control each day. Because if you start to think about how it's just never going to get better, even if you know that it will, it feels overwhelming. You might feel a bit lost. So what I encourage you to think about is, what is the one best next step that I can make right now? And then make that step and see how you feel and start to move forward from there.
You know, that's a great start. And I guess a lot of times, and I tell this to my kids, they're older teenagers, and, you know, they feel like they're self-sufficient. And I tell them, you know what, plan it out. Just plan out your day, your week. And when you put it down on paper, it doesn't seem so encompassing and overwhelming. Is that another way to really kind of combat some of this?
Yes, when you're looking at it one day at a time, you realize that this is a temporary feeling. This is what you can have to look forward to today. I highly recommend thinking about what you're grateful for each day. You might benefit from having a mantra on those really dark mornings when you're waking up, the school bus is coming, you've got a work day ahead to say, I will achieve more than what I thought possible. Or any kind of mantra that works for you. You can say it quietly in those dark, quiet moments. And then the other thing is to process this with other people. Like you said, you're talking about this with your children. None of us has to do this alone. And when you process with others, you'll get different perspectives and reminders of why you get started in the first place.
Yeah, the grateful aspect is so key. I really think that, if you are as grateful, let's say you're grateful for like 50 things and you can name those 50 things. It might take you a while and you got to get specific. But you will not be a negative person if you are grateful and you are constantly grateful throughout the day. That's a really good, almost a mind trick, don't you think?
Absolutely. Gratitude changed my career and my life, so I'm a huge fan, just as you are. And I think the other part of this is learning to celebrate your progress, thinking about what you're doing each day. At the end of the day, to look back and say, what did I learn today? What did I work on? What did I accomplish? And what am I grateful for? And those things are also great ways to give you the motivation to keep going.
Let's talk about another aspect to this, celebrating progress and maybe creating some sort of reward for yourself. Tell me more.
Well, I'm a huge fan of celebrating progress, and what this looks like for me will look different than what it looks like for you. It's important to think about what motivates you, whether that's watching a favorite TV show or catching up with a friend or booking a pedicure or manicure. And when you set up these small wins to look forward to, research shows that having these small wins along the way, not at the end of the journey, but along the way, is going to help you figure out how to build your own motivation intrinsically.
Absolutely, 100%. Anything else that you want to mention, Shanna, that we haven't touched on you feel is important?
When you think about these winter blues feelings, they truly are temporary. Like you said, it's sunshiny today in Memphis. There will be brighter days ahead. Celebrate your progress, focus on what you can control, bring others in, and keep moving forward day by day.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, listen, Shanna Hawking, we really appreciate you and your thoughts and your ideas and your vision to get through some of the winter blues that we all have, admittedly, each and every winter season. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're waking up now, and that plus a southwest breeze will help those temperatures climb up to the 60s today. 60 degrees at noon. We're up to around 66 at 3 o'clock, down to the upper 50s by 5 o'clock. But overall, temperatures running about 10 degrees above normal. 66 is our high in Memphis today. Some spots will be close to 70 in North Mississippi, and then 46 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Clouds will build in this evening, though, so we'll have sunshine today, but it'll be mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow, and then a 70% chance of rain in the afternoon on Tuesday. Low rain chances Wednesday afternoon, but then overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, we have another chance for rain. Some of those storms could end up being severe. No severe weather on Tuesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, here's what you're looking at. Looks mostly dry, right? We may still end up, though, with a stray shower, just not showing up on here, but the potential for some spotty rain as we go through the early morning. By 2 o'clock, though, that's when I think most of us will start to get some rain from Shelby County up into Dyer County, spots like Blytheville getting some rain in Arkansas. It rains on and off through at least 5 or 6 o'clock, but by 6, you notice we start clearing out of West Memphis, downtown, midtown. So good news if you have dinner reservations downtown at 6 o'clock, but still seeing some rain in Germantown, Collierville, Olive Branch. That will continue to push east, though, so that by 9 or 10 we dry out and even clouds start to break up that evening. But we'll have windy conditions all day on Tuesday. This is 10:30 here in the morning on Tuesday. We start to see those winds around 20 to even 30 miles per hour, but look what happens by 3 o'clock. o'clock. Wind gusts close to 45 miles per hour in wind. Tunica, Helena, 40-mile-per-hour gusts there in Memphis, and winds are probably 20 to 30 miles per hour through late that night as well. We will have a wind advisory for that day. Now, as I mentioned, we have a chance for strong thunderstorms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. You get a 2 out of 5 for that severe weather risk. So this is a first alert for you, that potential for severe storms. Well, that storm energy, that instability starts to increase after midnight. So unfortunately, this is when a lot of us are sleeping, or when you're initially first getting up on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. here, where you see that green color. That's some higher instability over towards Helena and Clarksdale going into Forest City. Thankfully, by noon on Thursday, we'll still have some showers, but that severe weather chance will be dropping. We'll keep you updated on that chance for severe weather on our First Alert Weather app. Search for WNC in the App Store, download that for free, and we'll keep you updated on that severe weather chance and also on tomorrow's rain chance. Again, no severe weather tomorrow, but you will have those really windy conditions. Those can knock down some of those tree limbs, so we still could possibly even see some power outages tomorrow. 66 degrees on Monday, 63 on Tuesday. We're in the lower 70s on Wednesday, out ahead of that cold front Thursday. So temperatures will actually start off near 60 on Thursday morning, drop throughout the day. So we'll end up in the 20s on Thursday night, Friday 43, but at least we'll have some sunshine as we head into the weekend.
The Shelby County Jail surpassed Rikers Island in New York as the most notorious jail in the country on the percentage of inmates who died in custody last year. And keep in mind, 201 Poplar is a pre-trial facility, meaning those 2,300 inmates have not had their day in court just yet. Action News 5's Joyce Peterson shares what needs to happen to make the county jail safer for inmates and employees.
We need our citizens to get riled up about this.
Shelby County Commissioner Brittany Thornton shocked and appalled when she toured the Shelby County Jail last year. She saw leaky pipes, mold, and rust. Inmates forced to stay locked up 23 hours a day because of staffing shortages.
This facility just did not look taken care of, and to see people who were forced to live in it, like, to me, it felt like it would be triggering for some mental health issues.
Gershon Freeman, the inmate who died last October after an altercation with guards, his death ruled a homicide, struggled with a probable psychotic disorder, according to the medical examiner's report. His family and justice reform advocates struggle with the fact 201 Poplar is now more deadly than Rikers Island. 14 deaths in 2022, 10 deaths in 2021.
It doesn't matter what they're charged with, doesn't matter how long they're going to be there. If we can't keep them safe and healthy and protected while they're there, then someone needs to answer to that, and that someone is the sheriff.
A spokesperson for Sheriff Floyd Bonner says the Shelby County Sheriff's Office does not comment on an open and active investigation. SCSO did say 20 new corrections deputies have been hired since last fall, and a new corrections deputy recruit class starts next week. Former Shelby County Sheriff Mark Luttrell warned it is expensive to manage a jail, but more expensive to mismanage it.
I think we need to look very closely at some of the operational procedures and the supervision and management of that jail.
And with the eyes of the world focused on Memphis right now, Commissioner Thornton says transparency and accountability are key.
There has to be swift justice, just like we talked about Tyree Nichols. We need swift justice. If you kill someone, then that needs to be something that you're held accountable for.
Joyce Peterson reporting there. Commissioner Thornton said she's been told it would cost $700 million to build a new jail. All the money and focus right now, though, is on building a new hospital to improve Regional 1. Okay, former Green Bay Packers quarterback Brett Favre has filed defamation lawsuits against 2 sports commentators and the Mississippi State Auditor. A 2020 state audit found tens of millions of dollars from the state's welfare program were improperly used. The state of Mississippi is suing Favre and others to recoup the money. Brett Favre claims that Shannon Sharp, Pat McAfee, and Mississippi State Auditor Shad White also smeared his name in the media over the situation. Well, did you watch it last night? Kansas City Chiefs, the winners of the Super Bowl 57. They defeated the Philadelphia Eagles in a nail-biting 38-35 victory. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes re-aggravated his right ankle sprain late in the first half, but the team still managed to make a comeback. It's the third time in franchise history the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl game. Players from both teams shared their thoughts after the game.
And we were down 10 points at halftime to probably the best team in the NFL all year long. And they're known for getting ahead of teams and kind of finishing the game off. And for those guys to step up and make those plays in that second half, man, it just speaks to the hard work they put in every single day. And luckily, a lot of those guys are young, so we'll have a lot of those guys back next year.
It's tough. It's tough. You know, we work really hard to have this opportunity and to come up short. You know, it's tough. You know, I think there's always a lot to learn from, and we get the opportunity to reflect on some of the things we didn't do, could have done, but you know, I think there's a lot to learn from it.
I am just like Super Bowl. So it's a lot of preparation.
What's your number one, no doubt about it, biggest turnoff when dating?
When they just complain about themselves.
Like being on your phone too much or like not listening.
Well, it turns out studies show the most common turnoffs on a first date, too much X talk, people who invade your space, disrespecting the waiter, being overconfident, and talking about yourself in the third person. Another turnoff?
There's a tendency to want to be too serious too fast.
But to find that special someone, you do want to get serious, with 44 million people using online dating services. But researchers say don't use old photos, especially if you've changed your look. Stay away from glasses and hats that hide your appearance. Don't use group photos, videos, or voice recordings on your profile. And don't show anything negative.
There's something so foul about a man holding a dead carcass and posting it for everyone to see. That's my biggest, online dating turn.
Relationship experts say that often we self-sabotage our love life. Some common ways: not being honest and only projecting our best qualities, not seeing them for who they are, but how we can change them, and often ignore red flags. But the one thing we can't ignore is that when we do find love, the wait was worth it.
I love you.
I've always loved you.
The Match.com study also found singles have emerged post-pandemic as transformed daters, stating they've sobered up. They now seek a partner who prioritizes mental health and self-care. And they want someone who is emotionally mature and socially responsible. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5. Okay, we all know that Memphis has a very vibrant and active medical community, and this morning we want to talk about some new guidelines for the cardiovascular care of cancer patients, which we have Dr. Isaac Ray from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to discuss more about some of these new guidelines out there. Dr. Ray, appreciate you joining us. Tell us first off, what is cardio-oncology?
Oncology is a field that is born out of the success of the oncology care. Essentially, cancer doctors have gotten so good at treating their patients that they're living much longer. And because they're living so much longer, now we're seeing a lot of these cardiovascular manifestations, often related to their cancer therapy. It can sometimes take years to manifest. It can sometimes occur while they're on therapy. But because of this giant intersection between the two leading causes of death in America, there is a great amount of data and a great opportunity for us to improve the care of many patients.
It sounds like it. I mean, you specialize in cardio-oncology, and I understand that you are someone, you're the only board certified, if I'm reading this right, cardio-oncologist in the Memphis area. So What made you interested in this field, and how vibrant and active is it?
It's an active field, not as active in Memphis as compared to some other places, perhaps. I think I first got interested in it when, during my near my medical training, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I started to pay attention more to this field. But then in residency, between oncology and cardiology rotations, there's just a complete difference of view, perspective, and just general way of thinking. And it became apparent that these two sides, even though they were responsible for huge chunks of American healthcare, they just did not think on the same wavelength sometimes. And while in their respective fields, that doesn't matter. That's perfectly fine. But when the two ever come together, it can be confusing.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest thing that our field does is that we actually enable therapy. We don't really restrict people to say your heart's too sick very often. The oncology guidelines already pretty much do that to their extent. But the big thing we do is you say, no, your heart can't handle this. It can. We can push forward. We don't need to go to that second or third line, not as good therapy.
Let me ask you something, doctor, because when I was prepping for this interview, I thought, oh, okay, I see how this can happen, but I don't really know if cancers cause heart problems or if that's really all that common. Can you shed some light on that?
So I can use some of the older data. So about 7 or 8% of women that receive the standard cancer therapy for certain kinds of cancers will drop their heart function. 7-8%, and there's a lot of breast cancer patients out there. Now that those therapies are constantly evolving, so as far as the newest therapies, it's a little bit of a different number. We don't know it yet, but it's a surprisingly common phenomenon, especially for certain drugs in particular, that can drop heart function and can cause issues down the line. It is only until recently, though, that we've gotten newer and newer therapies out that are doing amazing things that weren't possible before. And so while maybe even when I was in medical school, we were always taught that if you cannot cut out a melanoma, that someone's going to die from it. That's not the case anymore. But some of those new therapies have a small, sometimes just on the order of 1 to 2% chance of causing significant cardiac effects. So yes, there is definitely enough cardiac effects out there, but you have to be looking for them, and you want to catch them preferably early so you can treat them before they become an issue.
So, in layman's terms, doctor, everyone has or has been affected either through friends or family with cancer. Someone's gotten cancer over the years, a loved one of some sort. And the European Society of Cardiology recently released these new guidelines for cardiovascular care of cancer patients. What's the most important aspect to those guidelines that our viewers should know about this morning?
I think the field of cardio-oncology has still been, it's been slowly emerging and slowly growing through the years. So these guidelines really frame what the field is. And they finally put a stamp on it. There are journals, there are societies, but now we know that it's here. It's definitely something to consider. And it's something that cardiologists should be aware of. And it really sets the tone for, yes, now cardiologists need to know this much about oncology, which they really haven't needed to know before, and vice versa.
Anything else you want to add before we let you go, doctor?
I think that this is a difficult field for patients to know when to see a cardio-oncologist. And even what to do with this document. I think this document might be beyond the scope of most people wanting to look at it. It's got a lot of big words in it that it can take a while to get through. But I think it's important that if an oncologist ever says, I'm not sure if your heart can handle this therapy, that's the time that I can want to be involved. I want to make sure that a person can get the best therapy available, even if the oncologist is perhaps a little bit nervous about how the heart can handle it. That's what my job is.
I got you. Well, Dr. Isaac Ray, we appreciate you and all the staff there at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, and appreciate you kind of peeling back the curtain on what cardio-oncology is and being the only specialist in the Memphis area. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, look at all those yummy eggs. Wow. Common knowledge may have some people thinking they should skip their morning eggs for their breakfast, at least the yolks, but science says that eggs do not impact heart health. In fact, the American Heart Association say eggs can be included as part of a heart-healthy diet for healthy adults, and the U.S. Dietary Guidelines really hasn't restricted the cholesterol in your food you eat for many years and recommends eggs as part of a healthy diet. Let's bring in our nutrition consultant right now, Amy Goodson, on the Action News 5 digital desk to talk a little bit about eggs, making sure it's a part of your diet, even when you are focused on heart health. Amy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well.
I appreciate you joining us. And, you know, with this eggflation, I mean, they're so expensive to get eggs now, and people are doing all kinds of memes and skits showing how expensive eggs are. But when you do, in fact, get them, they can have so many benefits nutritionally. Let's talk about some of them.
You are right. So affordable nutrition we know is important to everyone right now. So as a registered dietitian, I'm always recommending to people when you're out grocery shopping, look for ways to get more nutrients for the dollars that you're spending. And eggs are really a fantastic way to do that because they are an overall nutrition powerhouse. So eggs contain high quality protein that's going to support muscle and bone health. But they also contain a variety of vitamins and minerals that support overall healthy living. So one of those nutrients is choline. So choline actually helps support brain health, including memory, thinking, and mood. And then eggs contain some key nutrients like vitamin B12 and iodine that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends for those growing bodies and brains. So all the kiddos out there. And then, you know, Andrew, we're all looking at screens all day, every day. And eggs contain lutein and zeaxanthin, which can help protect our eyes from that blue light coming from the screens and keep our eyes healthy. So we're really looking at an overall nutrient package, which makes it worth purchasing when you're at the grocery store.
Can you tell us in layman's terms, Amy, the differences between the eggs? I mean, I and my wife, we love organic, we love range and cage-free eggs, those brown ones that have that rich, dark looking yolk. But what are the differences between those and let's say your run-of-the-mill white eggs with not so much of a dark yolk?
Yeah, so the really important thing to remember here is that the nutrition quality of eggs is pretty much the exact same across the board. So sometimes different feeds and whatnot can affect the nutrition the slightest bit, but for that person that's out there shopping that goes, well, I'm just buying conventional every day, you know, the white eggs I've always purchased, you are still getting a fantastic nutrition bang for your buck. And so when we look at the different options, cage-free, organic, a lot of that really boils down to more personal preference versus what you're actually getting in the egg. So we know that a large egg is going to give you 6 grams of high quality protein. It's going to give you 150 milligrams of choline that I said for brain health. So a lot of it really boils down to, you know, what's important to you when you're shopping. I personally think the great news is that there's so many different options available for people that really can fit their preference in regards to organic, conventional, cage-free, free range, all of the different things.
So, Amy, I got a question because we talk so much about eggs, and I love them, and I'm on board with you. But I'm trying, along with our viewers, trying to figure out, one, why are they so expensive right now, and when is the price of eggs going to go down so that we can all enjoy them and have them plentiful all the time?
Sure, totally understand. Well, if you've been out grocery shopping lately, you're going to realize it's not just eggs, it's everything, right? So, prices in grocery foods are reflected by so many things, including supply chain issues, including inflation. So I think as consumers, we have to look at, as I mentioned, where can you get the most nutrient bang for your buck? We don't necessarily know when prices are going to change. But when we talk about overall heart healthy eating, we have to go, okay, what can we choose to get good nutrition? Maybe you're not going through the drive-through one day and you're investing that into buying more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins like eggs, and or buying things like canned beans, low-fat dairy, other ways that you can get in good nutrition as well as protein. So when we talk about heart-healthy eating and what you're spending at the grocery store, it's kind of more looking at that big picture. So maybe you're going to buy eggs, but then you're going to buy frozen veggies to help, save on shelf life and save on a few dollars there. So it really is looking at that bigger picture. But the key is trying to include a lot of color into your day so that you get the fiber that supports heart health. And then, as I mentioned before, you want to get that high quality protein. And for the nutritional value of eggs, it really is a win for your protein and your nutrients.
Is there one way to have an egg that's better than the other, or is it, is it better to have it scrambled? Is it better to have it in an omelet? Is it better to have it maybe soft boiled or over medium? Is there one way that's healthier than another?
There is not. Any way you want to eat eggs. So scrambling them, hard boiling them, poaching them, even just like frying them in a skillet is a great way to do it. So that's what I kind of love about eggs is they're so versatile. You can put them in, like I have veggie loaded egg muffin cups where, you scramble them in, add some veggies, cook them on the weekends. You have a quick pop of protein for your busy mornings. If you're going to soft boil or hard boiled egg, that can clearly be a snack. You can also add it as like high quality protein onto a salad, or like I have a dish over here that's a sweet potato and egg hash where we fried the eggs and then added it with sweet potatoes and lots of colorful veggies. So when you kind of think through, okay, when I'm making meals, how could I include eggs? It's not really about the way you eat them. It's more about what you're pairing with them. And that's where we want to try to include more fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, kind of decreasing that sodium intake, decreasing saturated fat, so that you're really getting in a variety of nutrient-rich foods that overall support that nutrient-rich, healthy eating pattern.
Okay, Amy Goodson, registered dietitian, nutrition consultant. We appreciate everything that you are saying with regards to eggs and the benefits of eggs. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. I want to tell you about Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare's 5th annual My Sister's Keeper Summit. My Sister's Keeper Summit. It's happening on Saturday, February 25th. And right now on the Action News 5 digital desk, I have Sandra Matabonwu. She is with the Senior Director of Social Determinants of Health for Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Sandra, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am fine, thank you. And how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So tell us, what is My Sister's Keeper? What is it about?
My Sister's Keeper is an initiative from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to improve the health and well-being of Black women through education, empowerment, and advocacy. This year's 5th and free comprehensive healthcare will explore perspectives on post-pandemic physical, mental, and financial health challenges, and a thoughtful discussion on individual strengths and perseverance.
And this is the flyer from the event that's happening again Saturday, February 25th at 10 in the morning. Talk about some of the issues that will be addressed on Saturday, Sandra.
Yes. You know, my sister's keeper addresses the health needs of Black women. Black women have higher instances of heart disease, breast and cervical cancer, and mental health challenges, among other things. So we know it is important for Black women to connect with one another, which is why we are having this program and the program like Kitchen Table Talks. This program creates a safe environment for candid and vulnerable conversation. So people learn from one another, and experts will discuss some of the health conditions that are prevalent in the Black community. Through these initiatives, women can build relationships with one another. And as we all know, having a broad support system helps us to learn and connect with each other.
So this is the 5th year for the event. This year's event will be virtual. Let's talk about where people can register for the event.
All right. This year, yes, is very free and is virtual. To join this conversation, visit msk2023.eventbrite.com. There is no cost to register. So people need to gather their friends, support system, congregations, and join virtually. All Black women are invited to attend. And anyone that is concerned with the health of Black women or the health of our community in general should be able to join to learn a lot, especially about what people are experiencing post-pandemic. There is a lot of discussions that we will be having on that day.
All right. Well, Sandra Matabanwu, we appreciate your time and we appreciate everything you've told us about this event that's happening on Saturday, February 25th. My Sister's Keeper with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're waking up now, and that plus a southwest breeze will help those temperatures climb up to the 60s today. 60 degrees at noon. We're up to around 66 at 3 o'clock, down to the upper 50s by 5 o'clock. But overall, temperatures running about 10 degrees above normal. 66 is our high in Memphis today. Some spots will be close to 70 in North Mississippi, and then 46 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Clouds will build in this evening, though, so we'll have sunshine today, but it'll be mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow, and then a 70% chance of rain in the afternoon on Tuesday. Low rain chances Wednesday afternoon, but then overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, we have another chance for rain. Some of those storms could end up being severe. No severe weather on Tuesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, here's what you're looking at. It looks mostly dry, right? We may still end up, though, with a stray shower, just not showing up on here, but the potential for some spotty rain as we go through the early morning. By 2 o'clock, though, that's when I think most of us will start to get some rain from Shelby County up into Dyer County, spots like Blytheville getting some rain in Arkansas. It rains on and off through at least 5 or 6 o'clock, but by 6, you notice we start clearing out of West Memphis, downtown, midtown. So good news if you have dinner reservations downtown at 6 o'clock, but still seeing some rain in Germantown, Collierville, Olive Branch. That will continue to push east, though, so that by 9 or 10 we dry out and even clouds start to break up that evening. But we'll have windy conditions all day on Tuesday. This is 10:30 here in the morning on Tuesday. We start to see those winds around 20 to even 30 miles per hour, but look what happens by 3 o'clock. Wind gusts close to 45 miles per hour in wind. Tunica, Helena, 40 mile per hour gusts there in Memphis, and winds are probably 20 to 30 miles per hour through late that night as well. We will have a wind advisory for that day. Now, as I mentioned, we have a chance for strong thunderstorms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. You get a 2 out of 5 for that severe weather risk. So this is a first alert for you, that potential for severe storms. Well, that storm energy, that instability starts to increase after midnight. So unfortunately, this is when a lot of us are sleeping, or when you're initially first getting up on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. here, where you see that green color, that's some higher instability over towards Helena and Clarksdale going into Forest City. Thankfully, by noon on Thursday, we'll still have some showers, but that severe weather chance will be dropping. We'll keep you updated on that chance for severe weather on our First Alert Weather app. Search for WNC in the App Store, download that for free, and we'll keep you updated on that severe weather chance and also on tomorrow's rain chance. Again, no severe weather tomorrow, but you will have those really windy conditions. Those can knock down some of those tree limbs, so we we still could possibly even see some power outages tomorrow. 66 degrees on Monday, 63 on Tuesday. We're in the lower 70s on Wednesday, out ahead of that cold front Thursday. So temperatures will actually start off near 60 on Thursday morning, drop throughout the day. So we'll end up in the 20s on Thursday night, Friday 43, but at least we'll have some sunshine as we head into the weekend.
Okay, let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies here. Their road woes continue. They lost again, this time to the Boston Celtics in Boston. They were trailing by 13 at halftime, but they charged back in the third, actually took the lead. But the fourth quarter really belonged to the Celtics. They were just so good shooting from outside beyond the arc there. They beat the Grizzlies 119-109. The Grizzlies will be back home for a final game on Wednesday before the All-Star break. They play the Jazz at FedEx Forum. Let's talk about the Memphis Tigers. They continuing their winning ways. They got back to the win column by beating Temple. They beat them last month, and they beat them again yesterday. Tip-off was at 11 o'clock. They beat them again, 86-77. Here's Penny Hardaway after the game.
Wonderful. His best overall game, but because he could have came out in the second half and tried to go for 40 points. He could have. Yeah, he led us in points. He only took 2 shots in the second half, which was a big 3 that he made in the corner. Led us in rebounds, led us in assists. Just a beautiful game because he was very selfless in the second half by trying to create things for other guys.
All right, so another big home matchup for the University of Memphis is coming this Thursday at FedEx Forum against Central Florida. Okay, a Mississippi civil rights leader was recognized for her huge contribution to fighting racism in the late 19th century. Gulfport, Mississippi, a library hosted a special program about Ida B. Wells celebrating Black History Month. As we all know, Wells was born into slavery in Holly Springs, Mississippi during the Civil War. She moved to Memphis. She went on to become an esteemed journalist and writer. Some very special birthdays to tell you about. Bernice Richmond of Cordova is turning 103 today. She's a mother of 5 daughters, 2 sons. According to her family, she has a bunch of grandchildren and 4 who are grandfathers of their own. Congratulations, Bernice, and happy birthday. And then again, we have another Mississippian that is going to be a birthday girl, 105 years young, Annie Sales Sprite. She was born and raised in Holly Springs as well. That's where she currently lives. She's a mother of 5 boys, 5 girls. She is going to be 105 years old on Valentine's Day. So congratulations, Annie. Happy birthday to you.
Child who embodies innocence, grace, and everything that a teacher could ever want in a student.
2 teens facing charges this morning in the murder of a 17-year-old woman. This woman was killed Friday night after leaving a basketball game. This is in Haywood County, Tennessee. And Action News 5's Stephanie Douglas spoke with one of Christine Michael's former teachers who said Christine certainly made an impact.
She just had this light about her.
Alyssa Pierman taught Christine Michael in 2019 at Haywood Middle School when she was in 8th grade. She says Michael was eager to learn and was a bright light to others.
She had this gift of making sure everybody was seen and everybody was heard. And I know middle school is kind of that awkward stage of life where that's not something most kids try to do, and she did it naturally.
Keeping in touch over the years, Pierman took on a motherly role, mentoring the 4.0 GPA student who also completed her associate's degree while in high school and active in sports. However, it wasn't until Friday night that everything changed.
One of my colleagues, who's like a brother to me, called me because he wanted to tell me before I saw it on the internet.
According to Haywood County Sheriff's Office, Michael was in the car with 3 other friends traveling from a Haywood versus Ripley basketball game in Ripley around 10 p.m. when someone from another vehicle started shooting at them on Highway 19. The vehicle was struck multiple times by gunfire, a bullet striking the 17-year-old in her lower back.
And then he said she didn't make it. And I just sobbed.
Deputies say a 13-year-old passenger in the same car was grazed. The driver was not injured. Pierman says this is the second time she has lost a student in her career and shares one student's death is one too many.
We don't take classes on how to grieve when a student leaves us. We definitely don't take classes when they leave due to violence. And it's very exhausting.
It was certainly a traumatic event that happened in Haywood County, Tennessee. That was Stephanie Douglas reporting. 18-year-old Kevin Davis, 16-year-old Bishop Owens have been arrested in connection to the murder. Both are facing multiple charges, including attempted first-degree murder, both being held without bond. All right, let's talk about car break-ins, a persistent problem that happened throughout 2022 and continues into 2023. 18 cars broken into at Baptist Memorial Hospital in Memphis. Another string of mass break-ins happening at a distribution center in South Memphis. All of that, once again, putting a strain on auto glass repair shops. Walter Murphy has more.
Chris Eden moved to Memphis around 3 years ago to be closer to his wife's family. His auto glass and tint shop came to town too, and Eden says that business is booming.
I owned an auto glass shop in Wichita. We did probably 1 a month, 2 a month door glasses, and now we're doing 10 a day. Just in Memphis.
Saturday night, Memphis Police Department confirmed at least 18 cars were broken into at Baptist Memorial Hospital's East Campus. Baptist Hospital confirms the break-ins happened in the employee parking lot. They released a statement to Action News 5 that reads in part, "Our campus security will be increasing security measures to protect our parking lots and deter future incidents. Patient and employee safety are top priorities to us." But Baptist employees weren't the only ones hit on Saturday night. Action News 5 got this video from someone who works at DHL's Yeti Distribution Center in South Memphis. The viewer says that nearly every car parked in the parking lot was hit. And if having a window smash isn't bad enough, Eden says the item on the crooks' wish list poses a big problem for public safety.
There'll be money laying around, there'll be a backpack with a laptop in it, tools, and they just leave it there just looking for guns.
MPD says a gun should never be kept unsecured in a vehicle under any circumstances. But if you have to leave it in your car while you're out, it should be stored in a lockbox.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want guns in the wrong hands. Things need to change. I just don't know the solution to how to change it.
That was Walter Murphy reporting. The Memphis public safety map showed at least 70 cars were broken into from Friday morning until Saturday afternoon. SpaceX launched another batch of Starlink satellites into orbit. A Falcon 9 rocket topped with 55 Starlink internet satellites lifted off from the space station in Florida there. Falcon 9's first stage returned to Earth 8.5 minutes after liftoff. SpaceX later confirmed all 55 satellites successfully deployed a little over an hour after liftoff. Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. It is cold, it is snowy and icy, and man, the bridges and overpasses are just a mess. You know, I asked some of my Facebook friends, what is the best way to get through the winter months? Because it's so gloomy outside. People that have seasonal affective disorder are just like, get me out of here. Well, one of the ways to get through all these winter and snow and cloudy and gloomy days is to think about spring and think about summer and think about all the festivals and hanging outside with people like Jennifer Chandler at the digital desk, because she has a great article that's up right now on commercialappeal.com. It's about all these great festivals that you can be a part of in the next few months. Right, Jennifer? Good morning.
Right. I agree with you totally. When I wrote this story, I do this every year. I do a whole list of all the major food and wine and beer festivals that are coming to town. And when I was writing this earlier this month, I had no idea we'd be talking about it in the middle of a ice storm when we were stuck at home and freezing to death. So this is definitely some things to look forward to and put on your calendar when we can all get out of the house safely. Soon, I hope.
Perfect timing, I just have to say. So we're ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah, well, the first one, this is actually in February. So hopefully within the next week or so, the weather will warm up a little bit. But the Memphis Restaurant Association has their annual food festival. They used to always do an awards ceremony at this time of year to recognize Restaurateur of the Year and Associate Member of the Year. And it used to be only for the restaurant industry. Well, I think it was last year or maybe even the year before, they decided to open it up to the general public. So actually on Super Bowl Sunday, they are throwing a food festival at the Kent, and they will honor their big awards. By the way, shout out to Ryan Trim of Sunrise Memphis and 117 Prime. He was named Restaurateur of the Year. And event will be February 12th. And it's always fun. It's a big food tasting event. A lot of food industry people are there because it's typically a slow day for the restaurant industry because everybody's usually watching the football game. So mark that on your calendar.
Perfect.
Then moving forward to the spring, I love restaurant weeks because they're the perfect time to revisit someplace you maybe haven't been in a minute, and they're also the perfect time to try something new. So whenever we have a restaurant week in Memphis, whether it's Black Restaurant Week, which is the one I'm talking about right now, which is March 5th through 11th, or Downtown Dining Week, which will happen in November, I always try to revisit someplace I haven't been to in a minute, or I also try to find some place that I have not been before to try something new. So be on the lookout for the restaurants that are participating in Memphis Black Restaurant Week. They will have lots of great specials for you to try. They'll be showing off their restaurant. They'll have special deals. So definitely look forward to posts coming soon about Memphis Black Restaurant Week. Moving on. Wine. If you like wine and you like friends, Vintage 901 needs to be on your calendar. Now, we haven't had a true Vintage 901 festival in a couple of years, and they've done kind of smaller versions of it, but it is coming back in full force this year. It's going to be April 22nd and 23rd, and this is a great wine tasting event that also has a lot of educational components. So you go and I've always done it with a bunch of girlfriends. It's in in an afternoon and on a Saturday, and we've gone to the wine tasting classes and learn more about rosés and things like that, plus get to taste all the wine, and there's always some good food. So it's a really fun community event centered around wine. And on the Sunday, they actually do a brunch, and I forget the exact name of it. It has a cute name. It has to do with bubbles and brunch or something like that. But basically, they do a champagne centered brunch on the Sunday of that weekend. So mark your calendars for Vintage 901. And I'm also a fan, in addition to wine, of crawfish. So Ragin' Cajun Crawfish Festival is back again this year, April 16th. Some say it's the official kickoff of the spring outdoor festival season, and it kind of is because it's the first event that really happens outdoors in Memphis. And it is always, always so much fun. They say it's still happening where it normally does, which is kind of on the corner of Beale and Wagner. Of course, last time I drove by there, that was still like a construction zone. So I'm sure it will be somewhere downtown like that if for some reason they have to move and if their normal spot is not available. But for right now, they're planning on it being in their normal spot downtown. Moving on, Greek food, the Memphis Greek Festival is amazing. Andrew, do you participate in this event?
Yes, so I'm a member of the church there, and so my kids, my wife, we're all there. We're all having a good time and dancing and singing and eating. Opa, Jennifer.
Well, I am not Greek, but I love this festival. In fact, one of the times I did get to go to, I have participated in some of the workshops where they were preparing foods, like all the pastries in advance. And it's so much fun. I always joked. I said, can I be an honorary Greek person? But the food is absolutely incredible. This is a really great community event that brings in not only the Greek community, but all of Memphis. It's at the Greek Orthodox Church that's over there on Highland, and it is a 2-day, and it's a 1-day festival, and you can go and you can get great food. There is a drive-through, so if you don't want to go to the festival, you can still do this drive-through and pick up meals. Gosh, the spanakopita is so good, and the baklava, and it's 2 days. Sorry.
2 days, and it's Mother's Day weekend.
So, well, May 12th is what I have written down. Is that correct? Is that Mother's Day?
It is. It's that weekend, Mother's Day weekend. We call it the Greek island on Highland.
That's a great one. Well, that is always, always fun. And I love how it has a way that you can go and be part of the event. If you don't want to be the whole event, you can still do the drive-through for it. Okay, then the biggie for Memphis that everyone comes to, Memphis in May, World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, which I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I still call it Barbecue Fest, is May 17th through 20. And it is going to be back on the river. Thank goodness, because I like this event anywhere it happens to be because it's such a great event and there's so much great food and so many great people. But I do really feel like that the river is part of this event, at least for me, because one of my favorite things to do is go right before sunset and watch the sunset, and then go and visit my friends' booths and walk around and people watch. And so it is back on the river this year, May 17th through 20th. You know, I always think my favorite night to go, of course I shouldn't say this because it's less crowded, is the Thursday night is my favorite night to go because everyone is all still having fun and it's not as crowded. Whereas on Friday night, everyone kind of gets down to business because the finals are on Saturday morning. So if you like barbecue and you like Greek food, you're probably also like me that you like Italian food. So the Memphis Italian Festival is on June 1st through 3rd this year. And basically it's kind of, I think they do their, if I remember correctly, they explained it to me once, but basically how their judging and their teams and everything work, it's almost like an Italian version of how the Memphis in May competition is set up. So teams have to come, they have to cook everything from scratch on site in their tent, just like at Barbecue Fest or Memphis in May World Championship Cooking Contest. And it's just a really cool event. They have lots of great music. This is located in East Memphis, kind of at Mendenhall and Park at Holy Rosary Church. It started out in their parking lot as a fundraiser for the church and its sports programs. And over the years, it's grown. It's taken over all of Marquette Park. It's a ton of fun, and especially it's more fun if you actually know somebody cooking. So it's the same thing like it is at Memphis in May. You kind of have to know someone to go into their tent, but you can obviously walk around and see all the action. But one of the things that's nice that this organization does is they do a tent where they have some of their top competing teams come and serve food. So you can taste some of these amazing Italian gravies, as they call them, made here in town. Moving on in the summer, there's two more I'm going to mention is Craft Food and Wine Festival is June 25th. This is an event that happens downtown at the Columns, which is kind of like at, I think that's 2nd and Union. And it is a really, really great event that Christina McCarter, who owns Feast and Graze and City Tasting Box, organized. And what it is it features all of the food artisans here in Memphis. So it's not necessarily a restaurant-driven event. It's about people that are making foods that you can buy, whether it's jams and jellies or breads or gelato or chocolates or desserts or different kinds of dips, you name it. These people are there and you can taste their products, and it's also a marketplace. So if you love something you can taste, you can also purchase it and take it home and enjoy it in your own home later on. So that's a really, really cool event. And rounding out the beginning of the summer, Memphis Vegan Festival is June 18th. Cynthia Daniels, she has a group that does a lot of interesting festivals around town. And this one will be on the Fourth Bluff. It's moving this year. I think it was at the fairgrounds last year. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it features vegan food vendors, and it's also a marketplace. So it has a lot of artisan people that are making jewelry and, clothes and things like that too. So it's kind of a fun excuse to get out on a weekend. So that kind of rounds us out for the first 6 months of the year. On my list, I have many, many more for the rest of the year, but we will talk about that later in the summer. But some of the things to look forward to coming in August are Dinner on Blanc and Hill Country Boucherie. Then you have in October, you have Memphis Food and Wine Festival, Cooper Young Beer Fest. In November, you have Grind City Coffee Expo. So if you want all the dates on all of those events, you can head over to commercialappeal.com and see what the dates are, so you can block it out and say, I am not going out of town this weekend because I want to be here for this event. And I do have, ticket information and pricing and all of that listed on this story that I have up there. And I kind of refer to it throughout the year, the story. I'm glad it lives up in the world of, the internet, so that I can remind myself, oh, what's going on this month if I forgot to put something on my calendar. And then I can remind myself to go buy a ticket.
Yes, absolutely. Jennifer Chandler, you hit on it perfectly. 18 Memphis food festivals you don't want to miss in the upcoming year of 2023. Perfect timing when we're dealing with all the ice and sleet and everything else we got going on this week and in the last
I was going to say, hop over there and dream about warmer weather and sitting out, outside somewhere in a spot all dressed in white and dinner on Blanc, or being at Italian festival, dancing, or being at the Memphis Greek Festival and learning some, traditional dances and learning how to correctly say "Opa."
And having an adult beverage too, of course. All right, Jennifer Chandler, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 digital desk. A diabetes diagnosis is not only a threat to your health, but it's also a major change in your lifestyle. Managing diabetes means making changes to your day-to-day routine, your diet, and that really can be emotionally damaging. It can do a lot to your mental health. And so it's just as important to take care of your mental health as you would your body. And so we want to talk about this a little bit more, about managing this condition and how to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health at the same time. So joining us now to discuss the link between diabetes and depression is co-founder and director of clinical education at the Behavioral Diabetes Institute, Dr. Susan Guzman, and also Abbott's Diabetes Care, Megan O'Neill. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
We're glad to have you on here. I think this is a really great topic to dive into more. My dad was diabetic. He was first pre-diabetic. It turned into diabetes. And I know for him, he did struggle emotionally and dealing with depression when you're dealing with things like neuropathy and just having a hard time controlling your blood sugar. But before we kind of get into that topic specifically, Megan, just talk about diabetes, just some of the symptoms that go along with that, if you don't mind.
Yes, diabetes is a chronic condition, and it really boils down to, it's complicated, but I like to boil it down to the way that the body can manage glucose, and glucose is that main source of fuel for the cells. So as you also referenced to your father, sometimes these symptoms can be very mild to none, so it's important to get those glucose checks with a healthcare provider and really know where you are. Now, the symptoms that can show up, if that is something that is progressing a little bit more, can be blurry vision. You can be urinating frequently and still be very thirsty. Also having an increased appetite but still losing weight, as well as an overall sense of fatigue.
Let's talk about monitoring and tracking the condition. I know, I've talked about my dad. He actually had one of those kind of little sensors on it that you could get on your arm, where you can scan with your cell phone and it can keep track of your blood sugar levels. Can we just talk about some of the ways people can monitor their levels to make sure that they are okay?
Monitoring is key to effective self-management, to know where you are and take that guesswork out. And thankfully now technology has advanced, and it is now easier and less painless to have that information at your fingertips at all times. So as you mentioned, we at Abbott have really committed to bringing that technology to life so that people can get that continuous glucose monitoring, or CGMs, so they can wear that sensor and get that continuous data of that glucose level day and night streaming directly to their phone. That way they can know where their glucose levels are at and what they can do differently about it. Their healthcare professional can also utilize that information to better support and adjust those therapies.
Yeah, it was great for him to have that sensor, because not only could he have a better track, but his doctor could have a better track of kind of where he was and his levels and that sort of thing. So that was awesome. But I want to bring you in now, Dr. Guzman, and just talk about the difference between diabetes distress and clinical depression, because there is a difference, correct?
That's right. Well, as you described, that diabetes can take an emotional toll, and it can really show up in management. And we call these stresses and strains of this big job of managing diabetes distress. And it's different than depression. Depression reflects more hopelessness and powerlessness about life in general. We know that diabetes distress, though, is much more common. About 4 in 10 people who have diabetes will report these tough thoughts and feelings about diabetes. And what's important to know is that they are both treatable.
And how might someone know if they're dealing with something like diabetes distress? What would stand out? What are some of the indicators that people should watch for?
So first of all, it's important to take time to check in and really take inventory on how am I feeling about my diabetes. Are there things that are stressing me out? Susan has done some work to have the Behavioral Diabetes Institute, and they have the diabetesdistress.org website. So individuals can take a free online assessment to find out if diabetes distress might be at play. And there are different sources that can contribute to distress. So one of which can be the regimen, the requirements, the tasks of diabetes and successfully managing. Another can be that just emotional overwhelm of having a chronic condition like diabetes. Also, interpersonal distress. Do you have a support system that is helping you along in your diabetes journey that you can lean on as well for help? And a healthcare professional relationship is also very important. Having somebody that you can trust, and again, supporting in the diabetes journey, because it's possible to lead a very happy and full and healthy life with diabetes.
And that support system, I think, is so important to be able to have that and those people around you that can help you. Dr. Guzman, I do want to ask you, though, what are some tips that maybe you might share for someone that's trying to manage their mental health? What advice would you have for them?
Well, I think the first thing to know is that if you're struggling, you're not alone. And getting that support that you're talking about is really important, because you're struggling with any mental health condition, whether it's depression or if you're struggling with diabetes, you can feel very lonely. That's what people often tell me, how lonely that experience feels, and we know that it's very common. And so it's really important to tune in, because we focus so much externally that we don't really pay attention to what's going on inside. And so tune in and take action. So we know that even little steps can add up to big results, and you don't have to be perfect to manage diabetes well. You can live a long and healthy life. And if you were interested in learning more about diabetes, you can go to freestylelibre.us.
Some great information, and again, co-founder and director of clinical education at the Behavioral Diabetes Institute, Dr. Susan Guzman, and also Abbott's Diabetes Care, Morgan O'Neill. I appreciate both of you joining us today and really talking about a topic that I think is so important to make sure we're getting the word out about.
Thank you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're waking up now, and that plus a southwest breeze will help those temperatures climb up to the 60s today. 60 degrees at noon. We're up to around 66 at 3 o'clock, down to the upper 50s by 5 o'clock. But overall, temperatures running about 10 degrees above normal. 66 is our high in Memphis today. Some spots will be close to 70 in North Mississippi, and then 46 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Clouds will build in this evening, though, so we'll have sunshine today, but it'll be mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow, and then a 70% chance of rain in the afternoon on Tuesday. Low rain chances Wednesday afternoon, but then overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, we have another chance for rain. Some of those storms could end up being severe. No severe weather on Tuesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, here's what you're looking at. Looks mostly dry, right? We may still end up, though, with a stray shower, just not showing up on here, but the potential for some spotty rain as we go through the early morning. By 2 o'clock, though, that's when I think most of us will start to get some rain from Shelby County up into Dyer County, spots like Blytheville getting some rain in Arkansas. It rains on and off through at least 5 or 6 o'clock, but by 6, you notice we start clearing out of West Memphis, downtown, Midtown. So good news if you have dinner reservations downtown at 6 o'clock, but still seeing some rain in Germantown, Collierville, Olive Branch. That will continue to push east, though, so that by 9 or 10 we dry out and even clouds start to break up that evening. But we'll have windy conditions all day on Tuesday. This is 10:30 here in the morning on Tuesday. We start to see those winds around 20 to even 30 miles per hour, but look what happens by 3 o'clock. Wind gusts close to 45 miles per hour in wind. Tunica, Helena, 40 mile per hour gusts there in Memphis, and winds are probably 20 to 30 miles per hour through late that night as well. We will have a wind advisory for that day. Now, as I mentioned, we have a chance for strong thunderstorms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. You get a 2 out of 5 for that severe weather risk. So this is a first alert for you, that potential for severe storms. Well, that storm energy, that instability starts to increase after midnight. So unfortunately, this is when a lot of us are sleeping, or when you're initially first getting up on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. here, where you see that green color, that's some higher instability over towards Helena and Clarksdale going into Forest City. Thankfully, by noon on Thursday, we'll still have some showers, but that severe weather chance will be dropping. We'll keep you updated on that chance for severe weather on our First Alert Weather app. Search for WNC in the App Store, download that for free, and we'll keep you updated on that severe weather chance and also on tomorrow's rain chance. Again, no severe weather tomorrow, but you will have those really windy conditions. Those can knock down some of those tree limbs, so we still could possibly even see some power outages tomorrow. 66 degrees on Monday, 63 on Tuesday. We're in the lower 70s on Wednesday, out ahead of that cold front Thursday. So temperatures will actually start off near 60 on Thursday morning, drop throughout the day. So we'll end up in the 20s on Thursday night, Friday 43, but at least we'll have some sunshine as we head into the weekend.
Okay, I want to show you this. This is a massive canopy structure in the center of Tomley Park. It's being named Sunset Canopy. It's dedicated to Tyree Nichols' passion for taking pictures of the Memphis sunset. And once the canopy is complete, there's also going to be a plaque telling Tyree Nichols' story. Tomley Park, downtown Memphis, will not reopen to the public until Labor Day weekend. His parents signed off on the roof beam that was put into place.
I'm going to miss him so much. Ty was just he was just a beautiful soul, like I said. And thank you all for being here and supporting our families.
And the family members said that this dedication meant the most to them. Okay, so this Super Bowl weekend wasn't just about the Super Bowl. In fact, there was a huge tournament in town in the Memphis area. It was called the Pinball Tournament, Tilled Hearts, and it was held in Memphis. The pinball pub called Flipside hosted the longest running pinball tournament in Tennessee on Saturday, and our photojournalist Darren Baldwin spoke with local pinball wizards about their passion for the silver ball. Check it out.
When you get in a zone, it's like you can't lose the ball. The flippers just seem to get closer together. You just get in a really good groove, and you become kind of one with the machine. It's not necessarily you against the machine at that point, but it's you and the machine are working together, right, toward a common goal.
Welcome to the 7th annual Tilted Hearts Pinball Tournament.
This is a brand new obsession for me and my friends. We showed up here, met this group of guys playing their Tuesday night weekly tournament and kind of fell in love with it. When we first started playing, I've never felt nerves like that in my life because there's some really, really good players here, and seeing what they can do is a little bit intimidating at times.
As you play and learn more things about the game and just put more time in, you only get better from there. I started off, when I started playing, I wasn't good at all. Ever since I found out that there was competitive pinball, I said, I want to be the best. I want to be the state champion. That's so cool, like to be over the whole state.
I've been able to win one tournament so far, and it was a little bit of a fluke. I've got a shot, but it's not a good one. I've done it once, I can do it again. We'll see.
Let's talk about credit card rewards, okay? So whether it's high inflation or supply chain issues, most American families and small businesses are feeling the squeeze of economic uncertainty. But a new polling from Morning Consult shows that consumers are turning to credit card reward programs to fight back against our sky-high inflation and reduce the high cost of living. Let's bring in Clint Henderson. He's managing editor at the Points Guy and Rewards Expert to give us more info on what people are doing to fight back against our sky-high inflation. Clint, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to be on with you.
Nice to have you with us. I'm a guy that has a couple of different credit cards tied to airline points because airlines are just so sky high with the cost of flying these days. Is that something that's pretty typical with people?
Yes, absolutely. So that's what the website I work at, thepointsguy.com, is all about, is about how to maximize rewards points to travel better. And, you know, I always tell people I have 27 credit cards. It usually freaks people out, but you can have multiple credit cards. And a lot of people have co-branded credit cards from American Airlines or whoever. And also you could potentially have hotel credit cards. But if you're new to the world of points and miles, you might start with a general rewards program from one of the banks that actually you can transfer miles to airlines or hotels. So that's how you dip your toe in. But if you're more of an intermediate like you are, then yeah, having a few different airline credit cards, a few different hotel credit cards could pay real dividends.
So let's talk about how the current economy affects Americans. I mean, how do credit card reward programs really factor in all this, Clint?
Yeah, so we've gotten new polling from Morning Consult, and they show that some 91% of people with rewards credit cards find them very useful. People use them for everything from travel, like we advocate at the Points Guy, but also even pay yourself back for groceries, for gas, especially in these times of high inflation. Some of these credit cards will let you wipe grocery bills off your statement. So very lucrative. We find that Hispanic and African-American households are using these cashback cards or rewards cards for everyday purchases. You know, it's really important that you have a little wiggle room sometimes with monthly bills, and credit cards can really help you in that regard. I mean, you're purchasing stuff every day anyway. You might as well use a card that'll give you a few points or miles or even cash back in your pocket.
Yeah, I love that, and you're right on the money. I mean, it does feel like you've kind of won against some of the inflation that we're dealing with. Do you have tips for people that are looking to stretch their rewards even further? You mentioned gas, and that's something that people use a lot of times. For example, with Kroger and some of the grocery stores out there. What else can people do to really kind of stretch their budget a little further?
So I would say, instead of waiting till the last minute and doling out a bunch of money for flights home for Christmas, start your strategy right now. Open a couple credit cards now and get those huge sign-up bonuses that are available from many credit cards and have those points in your back pocket, and then use points to go home for Christmas, because you're going to maximize your redemptions when you're using it for a ticket that costs a lot in cash. So the airlines have gotten better at sort of matching cash prices to points, but definitely plan ahead and open a few credit cards and get those sign-up bonuses and maybe get your family home for Christmas without doling out the cash.
Let me ask you this, Clint. How about the rates of these credit cards with all the points and the various miles and the cash back? How's the APRs? How are the rates these days?
So this is the first rule of the rewards and points game: is you never want to carry a balance. So you always want to pay the cards off in full. And if you can't do that, then don't bother with rewards cards, because you really need to be able to pay the balance off, because you're going to pay more in interest than you would get in rewards. So you have to be really careful there. But another warning for consumers right now is there is legislation on Capitol Hill right now that would essentially gut credit card rewards programs, including cashback card programs. What the big corporations want is they want the amount that they charge per transaction on these credit card transactions to go away. And that would be a big handout to big business like Walmart, Amazon, and it would come at the cost of consumers. So we're really advocating right now for consumers. Go to handsoffmyrewards.com. You can also use that hashtag on social media. Let your congressman know this is a bad idea. They did something similar back in 2010 and to debit cards. And I don't know how many of you remember that, but after that happened, rewards for debit cards went completely goodbye. So I used to have a United rewards card that I used for my debit card transactions. And after they passed this legislation in 2010, no more miles for each purchase. So I don't want them to do the same thing to rewards cards. So important that we make sure this legislation doesn't get passed this year.
I would agree. I mean, I don't understand why anyone would think that would be a good idea. I mean, why would they want to do that? This is an incentive to, number one, get people to sign up for your card, and number two, give them an opportunity to spend more on the credit card. I mean, why would they do that?
So it's really being driven from big businesses who don't want to pay for consumers to use credit cards. So they don't want there to be any transaction fee, but the transaction fee is what funds fraud prevention. It funds rewards programs. It funds cash back programs. So this is really being driven by big, giant corporations. And they're arguing that the savings would be passed on to consumers, but that absolutely did not happen after 2010 when the same kind of legislation was passed for debit cards. The consumers didn't benefit. The only ones that benefited were giant corporations.
Gotcha, Clint. All right, so we've talked a lot, several different things, some tips and tricks. Where can we go for more information about this?
So go to handsoffmyrewards.com immediately to let your congressperson know not to pass this legislation. But then if you really want to dive into the points and miles world, thepointsguy.com has all your information. We've got a ton of beginner content. So even if this seems daunting, there are some amazing deals you can get. I've flown around the world in business class cabins by using rewards from points and miles. And I've also saved on some last minute flights home for the holidays. So really, really lot to learn out there, and it's worth your investment. You could end up with some really amazing experiences, or even just save some money on gas or groceries.
Love that idea. Clint Henderson, appreciate it, managing editor at the Points Guy and Rewards Expert. Thanks very much.
Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. We love to talk with Google Trend experts about different things that people are searching throughout the course of a month or a year, or after a big game like the Super Bowl. You know, this is the most watched game across the globe. We got to see what people are searching and what the trends are. And so that's why we have Abigail Posner, Google's Director of U.S. Creative Networks, at the digital desk with us this morning. Abigail, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you being here. So I see that the top trends for this Super Bowl, couple things here. We have, is Bradley Cooper an Eagles fan? And is Rihanna pregnant? Explain.
You bet. I was really surprised as well. I mean, look, the game was a nail biter, right? So I thought the top searches were going to be about the game, and there definitely were many, but it was whether Rihanna was pregnant or not that rose to the top. She gave a killer performance, but still it was all about whether she was pregnant. And then subsequent questions were about whether, you know, how old her son was and other aspects of her personal life, not necessarily the performance itself.
It's interesting because when I was at a Super Bowl party last night, there were several people Googling and searching during her performance if she's pregnant, if she's been pregnant before, and you know how old her baby is, that sort of thing. So that was very relevant to me and what I saw at the Super Bowl gathering that I was at. Some other things that were some of the top trends: Travis Kelce, the color of the Super Bowl Gatorade, and the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. Tell me more about that.
I know. I mean, what a surprising search. That's what's so awesome about all these searches, that you never know what you're going to see. But yeah, purple, which was the Gatorade, the Super Bowl Gatorade color of the year, that was what was being searched. Super interesting. Of course, there were also many other interesting searches around the other players. I mean, no question, Patrick Mahomes was going to be the #1 searched player, but also super interesting searches around the ads, because the brands really came up and just killed it this year with those ads. They were really awesome. So in terms of the ads and top search ads, the ones that made people laugh, the ones that tapped into our nostalgia, those really rose to the surface.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at some of the ads by Game Day Views on YouTube. You got the Melissa McCarthy ad for Booking.com. Right. You got the T-Mobile, Skechers. Tell us about some of these ads, and perhaps, I know we don't know for sure, but perhaps why people were searching these ads more than others. Is it because they liked them? Is it because maybe they missed something or they wanted to see it again?
I don't have an answer to that. I have a theory. First of all, we all need a little humor in our lives, especially right now. And Melissa McCarthy just stands out when it comes to being funny and entertaining. So no wonder the Booking.com spot rose to the top. Also nostalgia, as I mentioned before, there were a lot of ads like the T-Mobile, the Grease, I would like to call it the Grease ad with John Travolta, or the Rakuten ad also rose to the top in terms of nostalgia, because people want to go back in time a little bit. So those are the theories I have as to why some of these ads just just broke through.
Yeah, I love this graphic, Abigail. This says this is the interest during the Super Bowl, and it kind of goes back and forth. Explain what we're seeing right here.
Well, you see the dynamism of the game itself, right? I mean, that's what's so awesome about the searches, is that they really reflect people's interests in real time and what's going on at that moment. And it's just reflective of who's winning, who's losing at that point, who's getting the fumble and so forth. And then, they even out, which is basically what happened at the end of the game. And then finally the Chiefs broke through.
And then here's another graphic, most searched chicken wing flavors since the start of the NFL playoffs. I found this interesting. Of course, we look, in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. It's barbecue, of course, where we are. But, it's still kind of neat to just kind of see how it looks across the country.
Totally. I mean, there's one that's a pickle flavored dip that rose to the top in one part of the country. It just shows how fascinating we all are and how different we all are. And by the way, in terms of your dips, buffalo chicken dip was the most searched dip in your part of the world.
Yes, I see it here, buffalo chicken dip. What's interesting is that is my wife's favorite thing to make for parties. And of course, wherever we go, she makes this buffalo chicken dip, and it's eaten so quickly. That's what it was the case yesterday for sure.
Was that the highlight?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it was gone before the game even started. It was crazy. Let's see, what else? What else was kind of something that piqued your interest when you were looking at some of these trends coming in?
Yeah, so much. I mean, what was interesting to me too were all the searches around the pregame performers. So Chris Stapleton just, I think, really made the Star Spangled Banner so heartfelt, so meaningful. You saw players crying, right? Cheryl Lee Ralph did an awesome job, Babyface. But the most searched performer, pregame performer, was actually Babyface. And I wonder if it's because he just hasn't been on the scene for a while, and people were thinking, well, what's going on with him, and how's he doing, or who is he even?
Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with you. Again, you know, the Chris Stapleton performance, very emotional. You saw tears, as you mentioned. Other players and coaches just crying during Chris Stapleton's performance of the national anthem. But yeah, when I was with some younger folks watching the Super Bowl, they had no idea who Babyface was, and I was like, "What? You don't know?" And I have to say, you know, you're right. He's been out of the spotlight for so many years, and so, you know, just kind of maybe some people, you know, that know who he is are just wondering, what's he been up to all these years?
Totally. And I wonder, with all of the ads that tapped into nostalgia, like the Rakuten Clueless ad I mentioned before, or the Workday ad with KISS members and Joan Jett, I was thinking, okay, most of the viewers are not even gonna know who these folks are. I did, and I truly appreciated those ads because of it. But it's an interesting risk that these brands will take to, to connect with a certain number of folks in the audience, and those who maybe just will then be interested as a result of seeing those folks.
You know, finally, Abigail, I was looking, and you know, the game was so close, and I mean, this game was very close. It was won in the last minutes, and you would think that a lot of these searches were, I don't know, about the game, and certainly there were some players here that were searched, but I'm surprised that like more isn't searched on with the game. But when you look at the game searches, I mean, there were a lot of things like longest punt return, that sort of thing.
Yep, there were. My theory is that people were so enthralled with the game that they didn't have enough time to pick up their phone and search. But, they obviously did. And they searched the players and they searched in-game events and so forth. But I think, they were sitting on their hands and just waiting to see what would happen. So with the halftime show, you got a little bit more time to dig in and ask questions of yourself and others, and of course of Google, to get those answers.
I love it. I love it, Abigail. I love all of it, and I enjoy just kind of looking at it. And I know that there's a way for some of the viewers watching right now to look at it for themselves. Can you tell us one more time where people can go and look at these trends?
Absolutely. You can get all these trends and other goodies from the game at youtube.com/Aglets. It'll be up for a number of weeks, so take your time, dive in, and enjoy all of it.
All right. Well, Abigail Posner, we really appreciate your time this morning, just kind of going through the trends after the Super Bowl, what people liked, and perhaps what they didn't like. Nonetheless, they're searching for it and getting more information. We appreciate you being here this morning. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're waking up now, and that plus a southwest breeze will help those temperatures climb up to the 60s today. 60 degrees at noon. We're up to around 66 at 3 o'clock, down to the upper 50s by 5 o'clock. But overall, temperatures running about 10 degrees above normal. 66 is our high in Memphis today. Some spots will be close to 70 in North Mississippi, and then 46 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Clouds will build in this evening, though, so we'll have sunshine today, but it'll be mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow, and then a 70% chance of rain in the afternoon on Tuesday. Low rain chances Wednesday afternoon, but then overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, we have another chance for rain. Some of those storms could end up being severe. No severe weather on Tuesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, here's what you're looking at. Looks mostly dry, right? We may still end up, though, with a stray shower, just not showing up on here, but the potential for some spotty rain as we go through the early morning. By 2 o'clock, though, that's when I think most of us will start to get some rain from Shelby County up into Dyer County, spots like Blytheville getting some rain in Arkansas. It rains on and off through at least 5 or 6 o'clock, but by 6, you notice we start clearing out of West Memphis, downtown, Midtown. So good news if you have dinner reservations downtown at 6 o'clock, but still seeing some rain in Germantown, Collierville, Olive Branch. That will continue to push east, though, so that by 9 or 10 we dry out and even clouds start to break up that evening. But we'll have windy conditions all day on Tuesday. This is 10:30 here in the morning on Tuesday. We start to see those winds around 20 to even 30 miles per hour, but look what happens by 3 o'clock. Wind gusts close to 45 miles per hour in wind. Tunica, Helena, 40-mile-per-hour gusts there in Memphis, and winds are probably 20 to 30 miles per hour through late that night as well. We will have a wind advisory for that day. Now, as I mentioned, we have a chance for strong thunderstorms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. You get a 2 out of 5 for that severe weather risk. So this is a first alert for you, that potential for severe storms. Well, that storm energy, that instability starts to increase after midnight. So unfortunately, this is when a lot of us are sleeping, or when you're initially initially first getting up on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. here. Where you see that green color, that's some higher instability over towards Helena and Clarksdale going into Forest City. Thankfully, by noon on Thursday, we'll still have some showers, but that severe weather chance will be dropping. We'll keep you updated on that chance for severe weather on our First Alert Weather app. Search for WNC in the App Store, download that for free, and we'll keep you updated on that severe weather chance and also on tomorrow's rain chance. Again, no severe weather tomorrow, but you will have those really windy conditions. Those can knock down some of those tree limbs, so we still could possibly even see some power outages tomorrow. 66 degrees on Monday, 63 on Tuesday. We're in the lower 70s on Wednesday, out ahead of that cold front Thursday. So temperatures will actually start off near 60 on Thursday morning, drop throughout the day. So we'll end up in the 20s on Thursday night, Friday 43, but at least we'll have some sunshine as we head into the weekend.
New life will soon fill an old fire station in Memphis. Coming up in May, the Young Actors Guild bought the building with plans to transform the spot into an art center for the children of Orange Mound. And for almost a decade, Fire Station 22 has sat vacant along Lamar Avenue. The old firehouse was in desperate need of repair. The sale price from the city of Memphis was just $1. The for sale sign in the yard caught the eye of Christy Chandler, and her vision transformed this dilapidated building into an art center for the community of Orange Mound. And now we are joined by Christy Chandler. She is the founder and artistic director of the Young Actors Guild. Christy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So tell me about the new fire station, what it looks like, how it's being transformed. Give us an update.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Well, we are getting ready to celebrate our 32nd year in Young Actors Guild, and that would be on this coming Sunday on the 19th of February. And we have transformed the building, like you said, into a performing arts center. It was a dilapidated firehouse that was sitting for a decade. We came and saw it driving down Lamar one day, and we were like, hey, that would be a great performing arts center for our children. And we actually went to city council, went to the mayor's office, Mayor Strickland, and we bidded for it, and we have it for $1.
That is fantastic. So, so this is an incredible thing. So we have the Harriet Performing Arts Center, and so there's going to be. Tell us about Sunday, February 19th, and what is going to happen then.
Okay, sure. So the Memphis Chamber of Commerce will be doing ribbon cutting for us. We will celebrate, like I said, 32 years as our Founders Day as well. And everyone would get to see the outside, the exterior of the building. We have already completed the inside. So most people have already seen the inside of the building. We have it decorated with art, as you see behind me. The engine room, we transformed that into a dance hall and multi-purpose room. And then we have another dance room that we dedicated to Arts Memphis because they were one of our founders. And on the outside, we will be dedicating that wall to MMI, Memphis Music Initiative, because they were mainly the ones who really poured into our project. So on Sunday, the 19th, everyone from the community, we invite everyone out. It's free to come and see all the work that we did on the inside as well as the outside.
Tell us about the transformation process. I mean, to go from a dilapidated building that really was vacant for so many years and then turn it into an active and vibrant area. And the artwork behind you is beautiful. I mean, give us an idea.
Our students did them. And they did it during the pandemic. So, and really, right when we did get the firehouse, it was 2019. So 2020, of course, the pandemic hit. So our students, we tried to find them something to do. And so believe it or not, none of these children ever did art before. So we did the artwork and said, well, hey, we're going to always have this art stay in this gallery forever. But yeah, but that's what you see here in the artwork in the lobby for the children. And so we will be having a lot of children here on the 19th. And they were the ones, it was the children who helped us with the fundraising. We sold hot dogs, hamburgers at the FedEx Forum. We have a booth at the FedEx Forum. We did car washes. So we did like grassroots fundraising. We did not go to the bank. We have no loans. So our parents, they helped out. We got donations from everyone that we could. So that's how we did the transformation on the firehouse for the inside and the outside.
So tell me what it's like to have this kind of building, this kind of community, shine, and a model here for the area of Orange Mound. It's got to be rewarding for that whole area.
It is so rewarding because the children in the community, Orange Mound and Bethel Grove, we do offer scholarships for the students who are in the area. So it's like when they first come in, and really the rewarding part is when people from the community who did see the firehouse, and it was like, oh, I remember that, oh, I was a kid, and I would come to the firehouse all the time, and then when they walk in, they go, wow, you all did that, and we did. We knocked walls down. We got a new floor that is real good for dancing. The kitchen where the firemen used to eat. If you walk in, actually some of the firemen, because they're right down the street now. Fire Station 22 is down the street, so they would come in and say, "Hey, this is where we used to eat." And in the dance room, that's where their bunks were. So they would sleep back there, but they did not recognize anything when they came in. So we kept some of the original, but a lot of it has really transformed into a performing arts center. We do shows here, we do art shows here, we do everything that you can think of. We let people come in and just explore, do tours on Saturdays. If anybody want to just come on Saturday and just watch, we're here from 10 to like 3 on Saturdays just to give people a tour in the neighborhood.
Fantastic, Christy. Listen, so Sunday, February 19th from 3 to 4:30, it's going to be a kind of a celebration, right? I mean, tell us what people can expect, and can they just show up?
Yes, you can just show up. We're going to make sure we have plenty of entertainment. We will have some entertainment on the inside, some on the outside. Our dancers, our company dancers will be performing. The mayor will be here. Some of the city council will be here. Of course, like I mentioned, Memphis Chamber of Commerce will be here. The community, the parents, everyone who really helped us at the beginning with the groundbreaking. Like I said, it was the children. I keep giving credit to the children because they were the ones who initially helped us get to where we are. From digging the ground, from picking up trash. So that's what everyone's going to expect. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of entertainment and food. That we may run out of little food because we don't know how many people may be here, but we're going to make sure that the most important is that everyone get to see exactly what we poured the love into the Orange Mound and the Bethel Grove community. So that's what's most important for Sunday. So
what about the future? What about the future, Christy? Let's talk about the future after this event comes and goes. What else can we expect from the facility now, the Harriet Performing Arts Center?
Okay, so right after this, our future is to go and pound the pavement and tell the children, hey, we're open, and go to the schools. We have Cherokee, we have Bethel Grove, we have Sherwood, we have Melrose, we have all those schools in the neighborhood, and we are definitely going to just get the word out and just tell everybody that's our future, to make sure that this place is thriving. Oh,
fantastic! Fantastic. Go ahead.
We have a Sunday morning performance. It's called Sunday Morning, and that is our annual Black History production. It's going to be at New Salem Baptist Church on Parkway. So we are expecting everyone to come out. And that's free too. So everything in February is free February. So we want everyone to come out and celebrate with us.
Fantastic. Well, Christy Chandler, we really appreciate you, and congratulations on the Harriet Performing Arts Center. It looks fantastic, and I'm sure it's going to be a great celebration February 19th. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Hope to see everyone there.
You got it. All right. Thank you so much. So our pets, we know our loved ones out there, our family members, our pets may be the ones who impact us the most. There is a study I want to tell you about. It says those who spend more time with their dogs experience a 300% increase in oxytocin levels. That is the love hormone, and it helps us live a better and healthier life. It was the topic today of our Best Life Report. Check it out. Our pets can not only resemble us, but they may be connected to us more deeply than you know.
Dogs, for example, understand human communication much better than non-human primates.
Recent research on canines showed that they pick up on chemical and psychological cues from their owners that make those moods spread. When you're stressed, your dog is stressed too.
When you cry, their heartbeat changes. Their heartbeat changes. They can realize there's something off.
While cats can appear detached at times, one study showed that cats would rather spend time interacting with their owner than eating. Petting a cat can also release oxytocin, also known as the love hormone, and is proven to improve our moods. Having a pet is linked to an increased lifespan as well. They contribute to longer lives through influencing longevity, stress reduction, fighting cardiovascular disease, and linking us to support systems.
You actually have a living creature that cares about you, that pays attention to you, and that will notice.
That no one loves. Is that your problem?
Okay, so right now I want to go to sleep and mental health and how they're intertwined. My colleague Amanda Hansen did this interview, and I think you'll find it very interesting.
Well, Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. You know, it's that back-to-school season. Parents are already thinking about the upcoming school year. There's actually a few schools that have already started back to the classroom, and so we want to make sure that you're prepared and you have information to make sure that your kids can have a successful school year. And joining me now to talk more about the importance of sleep and mental health is Sandra Warlow. She's the Director of Community Behavioral Health for Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Sandra, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you can hear me. Let's go ahead and jump right in, though, and just talk about how important it is to have a good sleep routine when it comes to your mental health.
Oh, it's very important. If we don't get enough sleep, we're not at our best. We're not sharp. You know, we can, with sleep deprivation, a lot of times you just don't make crisp decisions. It's very important to have that sleep routine. You know, at night, your bedroom needs to be dark and cool and quiet. You know, that's one of the most important things, just that help you set that relaxing tone. Avoid caffeine, alcohol, heavy meals, you know, a couple of hours before bedtime. Wind down, spend that last hour before you go to bed, just kind of winding down, putting the electronics aside. That is one thing I think we're all kind of addicted to and tend to use it right up until bedtime. And it's a good idea just to set those aside. And, you know, exercise will help you sleep better. Maybe in the evening, take a relaxing walk. But those are things we, you know, as adults, we need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. However, school-age children and teens need anywhere from 8 to 11 hours of sleep. And so you got to have a good bedtime routine in order to get that necessary sleep.
So let's talk about just transitioning back into some better sleeping habits, because I know, like you were talking about, putting down the electronics, that's something I struggle with. And I can tell you, I know that I'm not probably getting enough sleep that I need to get throughout the day. And it impacts your focus and everything. So how do you kind of transition back into some better habits?
Well, especially with school starting back in, what, a week and a half, it's not too late to get the kids back into a better sleep habit. You know, maybe start getting their bedtime, setting it back, you know, 15, 30 minutes earlier than they would. You know, for us, it's the same thing. You know, we model, the behavior we model for our kids is what they will do. So if we're, you know, sitting there on our electronics till bedtime, you know, staying up late, they'll want to do the same thing. So I think it's very important just to set those good habits, for our children.
And I've heard about maybe having things like a white noise machine or the fan going to help kind of soothe your mind. Is that something you think really works?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really important. Over the last year, I've kind of made my bedroom my haven, blackout curtains, a comfortable mattress, the fan on, turning the air down to, below 70 because you sleep better in a cool room. It's better to be a little cool and have to cover up than to be hot and throwing covers off because that's really going to affect your sleep. But yes, don't have the TV on, don't have lights on, but yes, a white noise. Some people like listening to the waves or rain, that's very helpful for sleep. But it's just creating that haven where you want to go to bed. If you go to bed and you don't fall asleep that first 20 minutes, get up and do something. Go to the living room, sit down and read a few pages of a book, do something to help you relax. But yes, just creating that wonderful space that you can't wait to go to will help with your sleep so much.
Really good advice. I know as someone who has worked the morning show where you're waking up before the sun does, having those blackout curtains is a game changer. I've also downloaded that app Calm, where it plays kind of that, the waves and that sort of thing, and that's helpful as well. So I think that is really important and good advice. Sandra, before we let you go, any last tips or any last remarks you want to make?
It's just so important to get sleep. Like you said, you get up way before the rest of us do, and that sleep deprivation is just so detrimental to your emotional health and your physical health. Sleep helps us recharge our brain and be fresh for the next day. I think you probably know how important that is, getting your adequate sleep, because you're on TV the next morning.
And I'm curious, just for myself, if you have a night where you're only getting like 4 hours of sleep, can you ever really catch up?
They say that you can on the weekend. If you have several nights that you're not getting the sleep that you need, that you can catch up on the weekends. But it's just very important to try to get 7 hours of sleep. That's what really the minimal amount our body needs. If you're consistently getting less sleep, it's really going to show in all aspects of your life.
Well, Sandra Warlow, Director of Community Behavioral Health for Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, I appreciate you taking some time this morning, and you have a good one, all right?
Thank you. You too.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The journey to become a parent, well, that can be certainly a lot of exciting times, but it can also be overwhelming. And for some, the difficulty of getting pregnant or staying pregnant, well, that can be challenging on so many levels. I think many of you out there know someone or perhaps know someone who has a friend or a family member that have had either trouble staying pregnant or getting pregnant. In fact, research has shown that some women dealing with fertility challenges report experiencing depression and anxiety levels similar to those with cancer or heart disease. To help address this need and complement the support provided by loved ones and healthcare providers, Ferring Pharmaceuticals just launched a new text-based platform called Fertility Outreach. It connects aspiring parents with a live trained fertility coach. Now, we're joined this morning by Connie Stark, Fertility Outreach Head Coach, and April Christina, a patient advocate. They are joining us to talk about their personal experiences. Good morning, ladies. How are you? Doing well. Thank you so much. So, Connie, let's begin with you. Let's talk about who has infertility.
Stated it quite well with the introduction. You know what? Aspiring parents pursuing the path to parenthood all experience the ups and downs. And with Fertility Outreach, being able to connect with a live fertility coach is such an exciting time for me, because finally there's a solution to the problem, to the things that you've mentioned, the struggle, the difficulties, the depression, the anxiety. You know what? Connecting with a fertility coach through fertility outreach is a solution for that problem. To be able to connect in a trusting, compassionate relationship with a trusted expert who gets it.
You know, it's interesting, Connie. I mean, I have family members and I know friends, and it feels like, and maybe this is just me, it feels like there's more and more people, more and more couples that are having problems with infertility these days. Do you see that? And if that's, I don't know if there's one reason why, but are there a myriad of factors? Why are we seeing so much more infertility?
All right, Andrew, this is really great. You know, it's awareness, and this is what fertility outreach is all about. Getting people to talk about it, to discuss it, and not be afraid to put it out there, to get the information. And so the problem that everybody sits in, and when they're pursuing the path to parenthood, that they don't know where to go. Well, today we have the greatest solution that's live, our fertility platform, a text-based platform to be able to connect with all aspiring parents of any stages. The real people, like you said, you know, so many people, everyone's talking about it, and that's the good thing. So now the good thing is that now there's a solution where people can go to and connect to an expert who can guide them through the journey, whether it's the beginning, middle, or wherever it's at.
April, over to you. I want to ask you if you don't mind sharing more of your personal story and journey as an aspiring parent.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. So my husband and I were diagnosed with infertility a few years ago, and it was extremely devastating to try and navigate through everything solely by ourselves. Although our family and our friends were very supportive and helpful through the process, having someone like Connie and a fertility coach to help us through the process was extremely vital.
All right, can you tell us more? Were you able to eventually have kids?
That's a absolutely great question, and the reason why we have partnered with Ferry Pharmaceuticals with fertility outreach, because my partner and I are still currently on our journey to parenthood, and it has been overwhelming at times, and emotionally it does take a toll and a strain, not only on your body, but more importantly, mentally for yourself. So we are gearing up for our next IVF cycle, but I will say that having a coach and having that support and community there to be able to help us through that journey to parenthood, it is making the second cycle a little bit more easier than the first cycle, because I am able to navigate things and my partner is able to assist. And more importantly, I know the different things that I can say and how to help my partner through the process as well, because he's just important.
Thank you for opening up, April. We appreciate you, and best of luck on your journey. We are all rooting for you. Connie, can you tell us more about your experience as a fertility coach?
Yes, Andrew, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been 30 years in the fertility space, caring for aspiring parents in the clinical setting, and the fertility coaching expertise has evolved, because every time aspiring parents go to the clinic, they get the great science and the great care pursuing their protocols. So being a credentialed nurse and expert in understanding the fertility process of treatments, it really has helped real people like April and her husband live beyond their protocol, live beyond where they're at, to be able to move forward and stay connected and engaged to their protocols, to their journeys, to keep going, because it can get overwhelming with the information, with every aspect of pursuing treatment. And that fertility coach is there just to make it just a bit better, a bit different, to find your best self, to stay connected in pursuing the dream of parenthood.
This dialogue has been fantastic and I'm sure very helpful for our viewers. April, can you give us some information on where people can go to get help?
Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and Connie and I greatly appreciate it. We've partnered with Ferring Pharmaceuticals for fertility outreach, and you can find us at outreach.fertilityoutloud.com.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much. April Christina and Connie Stark, we appreciate everything that you've said, and I know this is a help to our audience. Thanks.
Thank you. So. Thank you.
Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I want to tell you about Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare's 5th annual My Sister's Keeper Summit. My Sister's Keeper Summit. It's happening on Saturday, February 25th. And right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, I have Sandra Matabanwu. She is with the Senior Director of Social Determinants of Health for Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Sandra, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am fine, thank you. And how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So tell us, what is My Sister's Keeper? What is it about?
My Sister's Keeper is an initiative from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to improve the health and well-being of Black women through education, empowerment, and advocacy. This year's 5th and free comprehensive healthcare will explore perspectives on post-pandemic physical, mental, and financial health challenges, and a thoughtful discussion on individual strengths and perseverance.
And this is the flyer from the event that's happening again Saturday, February 25th at 10 in the morning. Talk about some of the issues that will be addressed on Saturday, Sandra.
Yes. You know, My Sister's Keeper addresses the health needs of Black women. Black women have higher instances of heart disease, breast and cervical cancer, and mental health challenges, among other things. So we know it is important for Black women to connect with one another, which is why we are having this program and the program like Kitchen Table Talks. This program creates a safe environment for candid and vulnerable conversation, so people learn from one another, and experts will discuss some of the health conditions that are prevalent in the Black community. Through these initiatives, women can build relationships with one another. And as we all know, having a broad support system helps us to learn and connect with each other.
So this is the 5th year for the event. This year's event will be virtual. Let's talk about where people can register for the event.
All right. This year, yes, is very free and is virtual. To join this conversation, visit msk2023.eventbrite.com. There is no cost to register. So people need to gather their friends, support system, congregations, and join virtually. All Black women are invited to attend. And anyone that is concerned with the health of Black women or the health of our community in general should be able to join to learn a lot, especially about what people are experiencing post-pandemic. There is a lot of discussions that we will be having on that day.
All right. Well, Sandra Matabanwu, we appreciate your time and we appreciate everything you've told us about this event that's happening on Saturday, February 25th. My Sister's Keeper with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
As we all know, February is Black History Month, celebrating the advancements of African Americans in so many different ways. But there's one area where striving for more progress is certainly needed, and that is in the area of mental health for both diagnoses and help. In fact, mental health is a nationwide focus, especially for youth and children, and certainly a topic that's become more prevalent in this pandemic era that we are living in. And it's a topic that really needs, among many doctors and professionals out there, needs to become more of a rallying cry in the African American community, a cry and a cause certainly that needs to be heralded by most. I want to bring in now Erica Gentry. She is a clinical program consultant with Youth Villages. Erica, good morning. How are you?
Morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Tell me about the stigma of mental health discussions in the African American community and why it is a problem.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of it stems from like the resilience, I think, from a culture. When you just look at just the root of slavery and all of those different impacts. And we've always known to push forward, to keep going and all of those things. And so I think that with that, with the word resilience, it can mean a lot, yes, to bounce back, but oftentimes it's sort of like, yeah, but how do you bounce back if it hasn't necessarily been processed through? And so one of those things that we pride ourselves on within our community is that strongness, that overcoming, and we know how to push through. And so that's one of the key things that I feel like is one of the stigmas associated with that. And also too, just not wanting to talk about it, you know, being afraid of just some of the terms, cray cray, and, you know, knowing that person within your family who has certain needs, but it's sort of like, oh, we're just going to keep quiet about that. So it's just a lot of those different things that come into play with that.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because during the pandemic, one of the more prevalent things has become mental health and making sure your mental health is right. And we see it in so many different facets of the community, how there's such more of a focus on mental health. But has this focus on mental health help bring down some of those stigma walls in the African American community?
Yes, I would say especially too what we've seen, like, you know, like the post-pandemic, a lot of people were getting to that point where they weren't connected to people. They were like, you know, I don't know what to do with this. And it just wasn't one of those things where those issues had just begun. During the pandemic, it was really, those things were there, the root issues were there. But I think that the pandemic really did enhance a lot of those different feelings. And so we have a lot of different people who are advocating, saying, get help. It's okay to talk about it. You can't move forth until you do. And so that's very true that we are at a place right now where it's becoming more of a thing that is being promoted and accepted. I know for me personally, I've had many people within the Black community to reach out to say, what does this look like for me? A lot of people don't understand the whys for certain things and the way they respond to different things. But once all it takes is a little bit of that psychoeducation and they're like, well, this is the why to that. And just feeling like they have someone that they can relate to is one of the key things.
So we have this renaissance, if you will, of people asking for more help and people being, you know, raising their hand saying, hey, I need some help when it comes to my mental stability. But the access to mental health care is an issue as well. In fact, I'm reading only 1 in 3 African Americans who could benefit from mental health actually receive the kind of treatment that they need. Tell me more about this.
Well, one of those things is just like the access. And I think that I know personally when it comes to just when we're looking at things from an insurance perspective, not a lot of African Americans have it where their insurance may even, and that's not just African Americans, but I see this as more of a systemic thing when it comes to insurance related things, is that it's very hard to find a therapist who may be within network who is not going to first, like the insurance is not wanting you to meet that high deductible first, without having to go through and pay like, you know, $150 per session. And by the time you meet that deductible, it's already almost at the end of the year and it's time to start over again. So that's another barrier that I see happen a lot. The other thing is too, is that just a lot of people who I know, they do want someone that looks like them. They want someone who shares the experience of what we have gone through as a culture. And that sometimes is very limited when it comes to being able to find someone in which, you know, finding that therapist that may look like them, where I feel comfortable and I get them. And so that's been one of the main barriers. Another thing is too, is just like, out-of-pocket expenses. If you're wanting the treatment when it comes to therapy to address your trauma, oftentimes that does come with a high fee, and that's not to blame therapists. But once again, I think it's one of those systemic things. And when we're looking at, how insurances are working and operating, it doesn't always make it accessible.
How do we combat some of the stigmas that are out there, when it comes to these stigmas in the African American community, when it comes to mental health and dealing with it effectively?
I think having the talks, I think the education, I think, having a coalition of Black therapists and social workers, which there is one that exists that I'm a part of, and that's helped to be able to have that within the community, where they're just not necessarily always from the platform of come to my office, sit on my couch to talk to me, but can you come into my church to have a presentation to bring more awareness and to normalize? Can we have these conversations within the school setting with parents, where it's not always just sort of like this, like, come to my office, we're going to talk about this presenting issue or this diagnosis that you have. I think what it really boils down to is first the connection, building that rapport, and then people are more able to see that, hey, there is more to this than this, just what I have in mind as far as the stereotype that I have in my head. And that has typically worked a lot, because I can't tell you how many presentations I've done just within my community, where after that I get more calls on where do I go next, or I have this cousin that's going to do this or that. And so that connection on the front end being a little bit different than always like, just like come talk to me and let me assess you.
You mentioned something just a minute ago, Erica, the church, and of course in the African American community, the church is the cornerstone for so many families out there. But it shouldn't be limited to just the church. Tell me how in Memphis and what you've seen with your practice and what you've seen with youth villages, how has this stigma been able to be overcome in several different areas?
Well, I think that it's been able to be overcome, and I'm always going to go back to that education. I'm always going to go back to just the personal relationship. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, continue.
Okay. Yeah, and I just think that it still goes back to the conversations that are being had. I do think that the church is one of those vital parts for most people. I'll say most, because that has been just from decades to decades. It is actually what has gotten the Black community through in a lot of ways. It's where we have been able to go and be ourselves, be held in high esteem, even when we weren't always viewed as that, when we were going through civil rights issues and oppression and different things like that are still pretty prevalent. But I would say, like, in that instance, the church has always been that. And I feel like the church is actually, from my lens, is being one of the moving forces in where they're like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's have panel discussions and different things like that. But where I've just seen from a practice perspective, even when it comes to what we do at, youth villages and different things like that, it's starting to understand the historical context of things, that multi-generational trauma that has not always looked the same as someone who may be in white America versus the Black. And so that's one of the things that I've seen that has definitely been a help, just where we've been going to enhance those services to more vulnerable populations.
Erica Gentry, clinical program consultant with Youth Villages. I really appreciated our discussion this morning. I hope it enlightened so many of our viewers out there. We appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're waking up now, and that plus a southwest breeze will help those temperatures climb up to the 60s today. 60 degrees at noon. We're up to around 66 at 3 o'clock, down to the upper 50s by 5 o'clock. But overall, temperatures running about 10 degrees above normal. 66 is our high in Memphis today. Some spots will be close to 70 in North Mississippi, and then 46 degrees is our low temperature tonight. Clouds will build in this evening, though, so we'll have sunshine today, but it'll be mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow, and then a 70% chance of rain in the afternoon on Tuesday. Low rain chances Wednesday afternoon, but then overnight Wednesday into early Thursday, we have another chance for rain. Some of those storms could end up being severe. No severe weather on Tuesday. 9 o'clock in the morning, here's what you're looking at. Looks mostly dry, right? We may still end up, though, with a stray shower, just not showing up on here, but the potential for some spotty rain as we go through the early morning. By 2 o'clock, though, that's when I think most of us will start to get some rain from Shelby County up into Dyer County, spots like Blytheville getting some rain in Arkansas. It rains on and off through at least 5 or 6 o'clock, but by 6, you notice we start clearing out of West Memphis, downtown, midtown. So good news if you have dinner reservations downtown at 6 o'clock, but still seeing some rain in Germantown, Collierville, Olive Branch. That will continue to push east, though, so that by 9 or 10 we dry out and even clouds start to break up that evening. But we'll have windy conditions all day on Tuesday. This is 10:30 here in the morning on Tuesday. We start to see those winds around 20 to even 30 miles per hour, but look what happens by 3 o'clock. Wind gusts close to 45 miles per hour in wind. Tunica, Helena, 40 mile per hour gusts there in Memphis, and winds are probably 20 to 30 miles per hour through late that night as well. We will have a wind advisory for that day. Now, as I mentioned, we have a chance for strong thunderstorms overnight Wednesday into Thursday. You get a 2 out of 5 for that severe weather risk. So this is a first alert for you, that potential for severe storms. Well, that storm energy, that instability starts to increase after midnight. So unfortunately, this is when a lot of us are sleeping, or when you're initially first getting up on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. here, where you see that green color. That's some higher instability over towards Helena and Clarksdale going into Forest City. Thankfully, by noon on Thursday, we'll still have some showers, but that severe weather chance will be dropping. We'll keep you updated on that chance for severe weather on our First Alert Weather app. Search for WNC in the App Store, download that for free, and we'll keep you updated on that severe weather chance and also on tomorrow's rain chance. Again, no severe weather tomorrow, but you will have those really windy conditions. Those can knock down some of those tree limbs, so we still could possibly even see some power outages tomorrow. 66 degrees on Monday, 63 on Tuesday. We're in the lower 70s on Wednesday, out ahead of that cold front Thursday. So temperatures will actually start off near 60 on Thursday morning, drop throughout the day. So we'll end up in the 20s on Thursday night, Friday 43, but at least we'll have some sunshine as we head into the weekend.
Okay, we have Tina, the Tina Turner musical. It's coming to the Orpheum Theater later this month, just a few days away, February 14th through the 19th. And joining me right now on the Action News 5 digital desk is Garrett Turner, who plays Ike Turner in the movie. Garrett, or in the musical, I should say. Garrett, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So first off, tell us a little bit about you, your background. I understand you're from Alabama.
I'm from Florence, Alabama. Yeah, my dad is from Memphis, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited to come and do the show at the Orpheum. I got all kinds of family coming. My grandmother's going to be in the house. What's up, Grandmother Leona? So yeah. I mean, I started singing when I was young and ended up pursuing this career of acting, and to be playing Ike Turner now in this national tour is incredible. It's my national tour debut.
That is fantastic, Garrett. Congratulations. And that's so cool to hear that your dad is a Memphian, and that's exciting. And I mean, Florence, Alabama, that's only what, 3 hours, 3.5 hours away. I mean, you know, you're practically from this area, you know, we'll claim you, you know. So let's talk about,
that's what's up.
Yeah, let's talk about this musical, because we see the commercials. They look fantastic. We know about the story a little bit. When fans come to the Orpheum February 14th through the 19th, tell us what they can expect.
They can expect the incredible story of one of the greatest artists to ever live. Tina Turner was from a small town in Tennessee, Nutbush, where she was known as Anime Bullock. And she followed this dream of using her voice, you know, and was catapulted to international fame with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. But then, you know, the story is one about liberation, you know, liberation from violence and the abuse that she went under with Ike, to then finding her own voice, you know, and the fullness of her own self. So it's a special, special show.
Oh, I can just tell by some of this video that we're watching here, Garrett. And, you know, look, I mean, your last name is Turner. I mean, I know you feel connected to this part, but what is it like playing someone like Ike Turner? I mean, on stage in your first national musical, that has got to be incredible.
Yeah, it is honestly an honor. You know, I would say Ike certainly is the villain of the story, but the thing is, he was a real person. You know, this brother was born in the 1930s in small town Mississippi, in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and somehow out of the abuse that he suffered and out of abject poverty, he learned how to play the guitar and how to play the piano and started a band, and, you know, pulled him and his community, his friends, out of this state to like traveling the world and making a real impact on like Black music. So to be a part of that slice of Black history is an honor. It's also hard because of who he was, you know, and who he chose to be in terms of the abuse that he meted out. But so honoring the fullness of the man is really the job every night.
Do you have any specific songs, moments in the musical where you really feel it?
Yeah, I mean, well, you really feel it all the way through. It's Tina Turner's music, so you can't help it. But one thing I love actually is when I'm off stage, I'm sitting in the wings waiting to come on, and I get to watch the actresses playing Tina every night do River Deep Mountain High. And it's one of my favorite moments in the entire musical theater canon. The way they set it up and the way they blow it off the roof is incredible.
That sounds incredible. I mean, tell us about the tour. How's it going so far?
Tour has been amazing. It's been crazy. It's nonstop, 8 shows a week. You know, right now we're in New Orleans. We've had an amazing reception here. It feels good to be in the South. It's like bringing the music home, you know what I mean? And so to continue the Southern tour to Memphis coming up next, it's going to be extraordinary.
So you said your dad is from Memphis. You're coming to Memphis here for this tour. Have you been to Memphis before? If so, where have you been?
Yeah, yo. Of course. What you mean? I mean, I grew up. We would go into Memphis for like July 4th, and I've seen a lot of the spots. You know, been down to Beale Street. Yeah, I mean, to the Pyramid to see a game. But really, it's like Memphis to me is like my grandmother's house and that cooking. You know, that red velvet cake. You know what I mean? It's family. It's family. So I can't wait for that vibe in the arena, you know.
I'm feeling you, Garrett. I'm feeling you. Any places you're hoping to check out while you guys are here?
Yeah, well, you tell me. You know, what have I not explored that I should? I'll tell the rest of the cast.
Well, I mean, I can't name one restaurant or two, but I would think you'd want to have some barbecue when you were here for starters. And if possible, you know, if there's a way to go out and explore, check out the National Civil Rights Museum. That's a great spot. Maybe a Grizzlies game if the schedule permits, just for starters, though.
I love it. All of it. I'm down. Let's do it. Can't wait.
That sounds awesome. So Garrett, anything else you want to tell our viewers before we let you go? This sounds amazing. The costumes, the music, everything that we're seeing from this show, all the video that we're seeing just looks incredible. Anything else you want to say to the viewers right now?
Absolutely. And it's that this show might just change your life. You know, come for the music, which will knock you out. Come for the entertainment. The script is written by Pulitzer Prize winner Katori Hall. It's amazing. It's full of drama. But honestly, like the courage that Tina embodied and the way that she kept going, always, you know, beyond whatever obstacle is incredibly inspiring. And the way that the show ends is, let's just say, ecstatic. So come see the show. It might just change your life.
I love it. I love it. Garrett Turner, it's a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck. Congratulations on your first national tour. We look forward to seeing you February 14th through the 19th right here downtown Memphis at the Orpheum. The Tina Turner musical. Can't wait to see it, Garrett. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, here is the cover of the latest edition of La Prensa Latina. Let me show that again here. It says earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and certainly this is an international story. And of course, you can see that is on the cover of the largest bilingual newspaper in the Memphis area. It is something that they are covering along with much of the media now. Let's talk about La Prensa Latina and what's in the cover and the pages of La Prensa Latina with the media editor, Vivian Fernandez de Adamson. Happy Friday, Vivian. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. Happy Friday. How are you?
Doing well. So tell me a little bit about this cover. It's quite a picture. It really explains what's happening over there.
Well, yes, it's just that, that I know that there's more. Well, yesterday there were nearly 20,000 deaths. Now there's more than that, unfortunately. But still, there's some hope that they can find more survivors. So that's why we chose this picture here, because this lady, she's a survivor. Thank God. So it is very sad what is happening in Turkey and Syria. So, that's why we wanted to do this cover, and let the people know what is going on.
Yeah, it really kind of shows and showcases what search and rescue crews are doing right now to sift through that rubble and to find people alive. Fortunately, like that woman there in that picture. Let's talk about something else that's a little more local in the pages here. And this is Sacred Heart School in South Haven. Tell me about that.
Right. Sacred Heart School, they joined Casa Teatro for a new program that is called Tacos y Teatro, which is tacos and theater. So what it is basically is it is about improvisation. It is the pilot program is going to be next Friday at 6:30. So what they're going to do is that they're going to talk about social issues, any kind of concerns that may arise, in students and their families for any specific reason. So they want to educate and entertain at the same time, the whole audience. So, when they talk about a topic during that time, then the actors will represent that story. They're going to improvise. So there's no playwright, no preparation at all. They're just going to improvise and talk about that specific issue. So for instance, again, like I said, this month they're going to be talking about love, since February is the month of love, and friendship. And then next month, they're going to be talking about women that inspire you. And in April, they're going to talk about teenagers. So again, this is something new that they're trying to do, for the community as well, just to get everybody together and for a better understanding too, and just have fun at the same time, So it's theater, they're going to explain things, like in an artistic way, let me put it that way.
Yeah, a lot going on there, certainly at the Sacred Heart School in South Haven. Another article in the La Prensa Latina issue this week, Breakfast with Books and International Mother Language Day. Tell me this.
Yes, this local organization, that they have been doing events, like for quite a few years already. So this time they're going to feature like you said, International Mother Language Day. So with this, what they want to do is that they want to, develop, inclusion, promote inclusion and sustainable development focused on leaving no one behind, through languages, and multilingualism. So, it's going to be a free breakfast. It's a free event. So you go and then you have breakfast and you're going to meet other people and you're going to read books for free. You can take some of those books with you as well. There's going to be activities for children. So it's going to be a community event, for everybody. And this is going to be at the Commons on Merton, which is a community center located at 258 North Merton Street. And it's going to be on Saturday, February 18th from 10 in the morning until 12, until noon.
Okay. And finally, tell me about this Cuban cultural icon that's going to be on a quarter as part of the U.S. Mint's American Women Quarters program.
Yes. This is Celia Cruz. She's a world-renowned singer that even though she died 20 years ago, she's still the queen of salsa. And, I am very happy for this to hear this. And not only that, she's the first Afro-Latina to appear in a quarter as part of the U.S. Men's American Women Quarter program. So it is very nice, as a Latina, to hear something like this. Celia Cruz, she's just an icon, in Latin America, in the whole world, actually. She, like I said, she's the queen of salsa, and she has, her songs are still, very popular today, even in the new generation. They hear her, her songs and they like it.
Yeah, this and much more found on the pages of La Prensa Latina, laprensalatina.com. Vivian Fernandez de Adamson, we always appreciate your time with us each and every Friday. Thanks so very much. Anything else before we let you go?
No, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for everything.
Okay, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, that does it for us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful Monday afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine and warm temperatures. Action News 5 at midday coming up at the top of the hour with Ariana Poindexter and Spencer Denton. They'll have the latest news and weather for you. Make sure you join us again tomorrow, beginning at 8 o'clock for another edition of the Action News 5 Digital Desk.